Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Mystery, adventure, and crime this hour, with episodes of The Mysterious Traveler, Suspense starring William Bendix, The Shadow, Quiet Please, and Lum and Abner. That's all coming up as we roll on here on this Tuesday, the 27th day of February, 58th day of the year, 308 days remaining until we get to 2025. The first Mardi Gras celebrated in Mobile, Alabama in 1703. Washington, D.C. placed under the jurisdiction of Congress in 1801. The first Mardi Gras celebrated in New Orleans on this date in 1827. In 1864, the first Northern prisoners arrived at the Confederate prison at Andersonville, Georgia. In 1879, saccharin, the artificial sweetener, was announced as having been discovered. And saccharin's another one of those artificial sweeteners. And cancer claims of saccharin were disproven, but saccharin has never really recovered. And yet some of the health risks of some of the other artificial sweeteners that are out there are worse than saccharin ever could have been. But saccharin's still available on this to this date. A challenge to the 19th Amendment to the Constitution on this date in 1922 that allowed women the right to vote, the 19th did, rebuffed by the Supreme Court. In 1939, sit-down strikes outlawed by the Supreme Court. In 1942, the USS Langley, the first aircraft carrier, was sunk by Japanese warplanes in World War II. 1951, the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, limiting presidents to 2 terms, was ratified. Why don't we have other term limits on Congress? Well, they're not going to vote to limit their own terms. You know that. The government, and yes, I'm cynical when it comes to that. 1964, the government of Italy asked for help to keep the Leaning Tower of Pisa from falling over, and it is. The good news is they have managed to shore it up. The bad news is it still leans. Of course, I guess that's kind of the point, isn't it? The American Indian Movement occupied Wounded Knee, South Dakota on this date in 1973. 74, People magazine published for the first time. 1986, the Senate allowed its debates to be televised on a trial basis, and of course, that led to the creation of C-SPAN. And that still is up to this date. I think there's an app where you can watch the proceedings of Congress on your cell phone. And it's still available through television stations, cable networks, and I think it's available on satellite as well. In 1990, Exxon and its shipping company indicted on 5 criminal counts related to the Exxon Valdez oil spill. And in 1991, President George Herbert Walker Bush, made this statement.
Kuwait is liberated. Iraq's army is defeated. Our military objectives are met.
But Iraq was not done. And while Kuwait was liberated, Iraq still caused a lot of problems, and still does to this date. Passing away on this date in history, conservative author, commentator William F. Buckley.
The next president of the United States would ideally combine the best features of Julius Caesar, Albertus Magnus, Thomas Jefferson, Napoleon Bonaparte, Abraham Lincoln, and Eleanor Roosevelt, which is why it is really unprofitable to talk about Camelot, since we don't live in Camelot, but in the good old USA, and that's all right, Jack, at least all right by me.
Buckley commenting on the 1968 presidential campaign. Buckley passing away on this date in 2008. Also passing away on this date in history, French luggage maker Louis Vuitton. His purse is still very popular. Singer Frankie Lyman. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. Oh my gosh. Van Cliburn, the fine pianist. Death Valley Days, Dale Robertson. and Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, all passing away on this date in history. Among those born on this date include Elizabeth Taylor.
It's Beecher's, Billy. Here comes Beecher's. Nothing to be frightened about. Just like the hedge at East Meadow. Mother, we won.
From the motion picture National Velvet, Elizabeth Taylor, born on this date in history. Poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, born on this date. Russian broadcast pioneer David Sarnoff. Uncle Charlie and My Three Sons, William Demarest, born on this date. Writer John Steinbeck. Also singer Guy Mitchell. I never felt more like a singing the blues. From Green Hornet and Surfside Six-Band Williams, Dr. Johnny Fever on WKRP and Charlie Moore on Head of the Class, Howard Hessman, and Newhart's Mary Fran, all born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
And among those still with us who were born on this date, she won an Oscar for Three Faces of Eve. Mrs. Paul Newman, Joanne Woodward, 94 years old today. Consumer activist Ralph Nader is 90. From Chuck, Full Metal Jacket, Firefly, and Serenity, Adam Baldwin, 62. The Clinton's daughter, Chelsea Clinton, 44 years old. Singer Josh Groban is 43. From House of Cards and 24, Kate Mara is 41. And from General Hospital, The 100 and Walker, Lindsay Morgan is 34. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 27th day of February as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday,
happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And on this Tuesday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we'll get started with our mystery and an episode of The Mysterious Traveler. This goes back 80 years to February 27th, 1944. And that'll be next.
Instead of going down, the annual rate of polio cases in this country is going up. Instead of growing panicky with fear in the face of such an unwelcome fact, there is a way in which we all can join the Army which is fighting to check this trend and ultimately defeat infantile paralysis. We can contribute to the March of Dimes. Give today so that the 1952 March of Dimes will be the biggest ever and a really potent fighting force against polio.
The polio vaccine and Jonas Salk managed to create a vaccine that was safe and effective, and quite frankly, it is the best case we have ever seen of vaccines actually doing their job. And it just goes to show you. In fact, recently, and don't quote me on exact dates because I don't remember, there was a case of one of the last polio victims who had been in an iron lung dying because a major power outage killed their iron lung and killed them. Sad. Okay, 80 years ago today, February 27th, 1944, an early episode of The Mysterious Traveler, and this is entitled The Good Die Young.
The Mysterious Traveler.
This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join him on another journey into the realm of the strange and terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves. I hope it's not making you nervous, being alone with me here in the dark. Darkness stirs strange terrors in some minds, particularly those of children. For children live in a world of their own, a world far removed from that of adults. Who among us knows the psychology of the child mind, with its devious thoughts and actions, as in the tale of The Good Die Young. Years ago, when I was practicing medicine, I brought a child into the world, a girl who was named Sondra. In the years that followed, she grew into an extremely beautiful and clever child. But my story begins the day that Martha, the housekeeper, was finishing her duties for the last time.
Sondra, come in here. I want to see you. Sondra.
Were you calling me, Martha?
Yes. I told you to come right home after school. Where have you been?
Oh, I'm sorry, Martha. I didn't hear you tell me to come home right after school. I'm sorry, truly I am.
Save your acting for your father, young lady. It hasn't fooled me for a long time. Sondra, since your mother died, you're becoming more and more of a problem every day. Well, at least after tonight, I won't have to put up with your lies and your 1,001 little tricks.
What do you mean, Martha?
Your father won't be needing a housekeeper anymore. I'm leaving tonight.
But why?
Well, I'm not supposed to tell you. But you may as well know now as later. Your father is bringing home a new mother for you tonight.
A new mother?
Yes, he's just married again.
But I don't want a new mother. Daddy and I don't need anyone else. We're happy the way we are.
Sondra, stop screaming.
I won't have it, do you hear? I won't have it.
Your new mother's a very fine woman. I met her last night.
I hate her. Daddy's mine and no one else's. She hasn't any right to him.
If you don't stop that screaming, I'll tell your father when he comes home tonight.
Oh, no, don't do that. I'll be good. But I hate her, and I always will. I'll never stop hating her.
That's a fine way to talk. Perhaps I ought to warn the poor woman about Sondra. Well, then it's none of my business. Besides, she'll find out about her soon enough.
Stephen, it's ridiculous you're carrying me across the threshold.
All right, darling. It's tradition in my family to carry the bride over the threshold. There you are.
Oh, Stephen, what a lovely house.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you haven't seen the best part of it yet. Sondra.
Do you think she'll like me, Stephen? I do so want her to.
Of course she will.
Perhaps you should have told her about us, instead of breaking it to her so unexpectedly like
Oh,
this.
nonsense, Helen. I know my daughter. She's a wonderful child. And she'll fall madly in love with you at the first sight. Just as her father did. Sondra, where are you? Daddy.
Daddy, you're home early. Oh, I'm so glad.
How are you, darling?
Oh, Daddy.
I have a surprise for you.
A surprise?
Mm-hmm. Sondra, this is Helen. Helen, I want you to meet my daughter, Sondra.
Hello, Sondra.
Hello.
Darling, the surprise I just mentioned is Helen. We were married this afternoon. That means that Helen is now your mother.
Oh, Daddy, that's wonderful. Now I'll have a mother just like all the other girls do. Oh, I'm so glad.
So am I, Sondra. And I'm sure we're all going to be very happy together.
Of course we are.
That night, after the family had said goodbye to Martha and seen her off, Sondra was sent to bed. She lay quietly in the darkness, thinking. Occasionally, she would speak softly to her doll, Barbara.
She hasn't any right being here, Barbara. Daddy and I were perfectly happy until she came along. Tonight, he didn't even notice me. Just kept looking at her. Well, she shan't have him. He's always been mine, and he always will be. That's enough of that. Now, let me see.
Sondra! This is the second time this afternoon I've asked you not to pound the keys that way. That's no way to play.
I'm sorry, Mother.
It's not only the piano, dear. There are many other little things. You pay no attention when I speak to you about them.
I don't mean to do them, Mother. I just forget.
Well, please try to remember, dear. Now, I want you to play the piano as you did last night for Daddy. He was very pleased.
Yes, Mother.
Sondra!
Yes, Mother?
Sondra, I thought I asked you to stop pounding the piano like that.
But, Mother, I was just composing a new piece for Daddy.
Well, that wasn't music, Sondra, but just noise. That'll be enough for today.
Hello, beautiful.
How are you, darling?
Well, I wasn't Sondra at the door to meet me. She's all right, isn't she?
Oh, of course, dear. Stephen. I was a bit angry with Sondra this afternoon.
Angry with Sondra? Why? What'd she do?
Well, several times this afternoon I had to speak to her about pounding the piano, being loud and discordant.
Well, that isn't like Sondra. You know how well she plays.
Yes, of course. That wasn't the way she played today.
Well, I'll go up and see her.
All right. Supper will be ready soon.
All right, Ellen. Why, Sondra, what's this?
Oh, Daddy.
What's wrong? Dear? You never cry.
I was only trying to compose a new piece for your birthday next month.
A new piece for my birthday?
Yes, I wanted to surprise you.
Oh, there, dear. You mustn't cry. I'm sure Mother understands you didn't mean to be bad. Now, here, let me wipe your tears.
Oh, Daddy, I love you so. I just wanted to compose something wonderful for you.
I understand, darling.
Oh, Daddy, you always understand.
Is supper ready, dear?
Mm-hmm. Where's Sondra?
She'll be down in a minute. Helen,
Yes, Stephen?
she really didn't mean to pound on the piano and get on your nerves. It's just she was trying to compose a new piece for me.
But, Stephen, it wasn't music. It was just noise.
Well, you mustn't be harsh with her. You know what children are like. In their enthusiasm, they forget what they're told.
But, Stephen, I don't know exactly what to say.
It's just a question of being patient with her, winning her love.
All right, Stephen. Perhaps I was a bit impatient with her. You know I want nothing more than for the three of us to be happy together.
I know that, darling. And the three of us will be happy together.
In the weeks that followed, Helen tried to overlook Sandra's slamming of doors, constant droppings of objects, and other nerve-wracking incidents. In time, she felt, Sondra would come to accept her love and guidance. It was just a matter of patience.
Sondra, is that you?
Yes, Mother.
Please sit down, dear. I want to talk to you.
All right, but do hurry. Daddy'll be home soon.
Sondra, every day I've been giving you milk money for school. Why haven't you been buying milk with that money?
But I have been, Mother.
Now, please, Sondra, I won't punish you. I just want to know what you've been doing with that money.
I've been buying milk with it.
Please, Sondra. Mrs. Gordon, your teacher, told me you haven't bought milk for almost a month now.
But I have. She just doesn't
Sondra,
happen to...
I won't have you lying to me. Now, that's your father. We'll see what he has to say about this.
You don't understand. You just don't understand.
Stephen?
Hello, darling. Oh, Sondra, what are you crying about?
I'm sorry, Stephen, but Sondra's been misbehaving. I think you'd better speak to her.
You just don't understand.
What's she done, Helen?
Mrs. Gordon, her teacher, told me today that for the past month, Sondra hasn't been buying milk with her milk money.
Is that true, Sondra?
What's worse, Stephen, when I asked Sondra about it, she lied and said that she had been buying milk at school.
Why, Sondra, it isn't like you to lie about things.
I I didn't mean to lie about it. I just wanted to keep it a surprise.
What a surprise.
Your birthday present.
Oh?
I saved my milk money so that I could buy you a pipe. It's here in this box.
But, Sondra, you know I'd have given you money to buy a birthday present for Daddy.
It isn't the same thing. I wanted to buy him a present with my own money.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sondra. Well, you might have told me about it when I asked you.
And then it wouldn't have been a real surprise. I did want to surprise Daddy, so...
But you have, darling. This is a beautiful pipe.
No, the surprise is spoiled. Your birthday isn't till tomorrow.
Well, this is much better, darling. It means I'll be able to smoke this pipe tonight. Oh, now, please stop crying. You go upstairs and wash your face and hands, huh?
All right, Daddy.
I'm sorry, Stephen, but I had no idea what she'd done with the money, and she did lie when I asked her about it.
Well, if you'd only have a little more faith in her, Helen. I know it's difficult to understand her at times, but that's because as a child she looks at things differently.
I'm sorry, Stephen, if you think I've failed with her.
Oh, but you haven't, Helen. I'm sure that in time she'll come to love you as much as she loves me.
I don't know, Stephen. I often wonder about that.
As the weeks went by, Helen found herself coming no closer to winning Sandra's confidence. It wasn't that Sandra was unfriendly, but there was an air of reserve about her, which vanished only in her father's presence. Helen felt Stephen watching her anxiously when Sandra was about, and sought to reassure him. Her one thought was to preserve their happiness.
Hello, Helen.
Hello, dear.
Oh, what happened to that vase, dear?
Sandra broke it.
Oh? Well, accidents will happen.
Stephen, this is the fourth piece she's broken in 2 weeks. And each of them were pieces I've treasured, had for years.
Why, Helen, you sound as though Sandra had deliberately broken those vases because they were yours.
Well, why is it that only my things are broken?
Oh, Helen, surely you don't believe she's deliberately breaking your things.
I don't know what to believe. The first few times I thought it was an accident, but now...
But Helen...
Oh, please, Stephen, let's not quarrel. Perhaps I'm wrong. I admit I haven't any proof. It's just all the little things adding up.
Helen, what are you talking about?
Oh, you wouldn't understand even if I told you.
Where's Sandra?
In her room, I suppose.
Well, I'll go up and see what she's doing, huh?
All right.
Sandra, it's Daddy. Are you in your room? Huh, it's funny. She isn't here. Hello, what's this? A note addressed to me. Dear Daddy, I'm sorry about the broken vase. Tried my best to be a good girl, but everything I do seems wrong. I make Mother very unhappy, so I'm running away. I love you very much and always will. Your daughter, Sandra.
After searching vainly for an hour in the dark and cold, Stephen returned and notified the police. All through the long hours of the night, he and Helen sat up, not saying a word, each afraid to speak, for fear of what might be said. As the first rays of dawn showed, the doorbell rang. Stephen rushed to answer it.
Mr. Hamilton?
Sandra.
Oh, Daddy.
Darling, everything's all right now.
I'm the police matron from the 55th Street station, Mr. Hamilton. One of the officers on the force just found her.
Thank you. Thank you very much for bringing her home.
Oh, that's all right, Mr. Hamilton. It's our job. Goodbye.
Goodbye. There, dear. Don't cry.
Oh, Daddy, it was so dark out there. And I thought I'd never see you again.
Well, what a thing to say.
How do you feel, Sondra? Do you want me to take her, Stephen, and put her to bed?
No, I'll do it, Helen.
All right, Stephen. Just as you say. Is she all right, Stephen?
Mm-hmm. She just fell asleep. I hope her being out all night won't have any after effects.
Stephen, you feel I'm to blame for her running away, don't you?
Of course not, Helen. It's just that, well, you don't seem to understand her.
But, Stephen, I've tried so hard. Oh, it's no use. She doesn't want me here, never has.
Helen, how can you talk like that? Why, she was delighted the day I brought you here as my wife.
Yes, I thought she was in the beginning. But now I know she was just pretending.
Pretending?
Yes, Stephen. From the first moment she saw me, she resented me. She feels I've come between you, taken her place in your affection.
Oh, Helen, how can you say such a thing?
It's true, I tell you. She sees me as a rival for your love.
You're just imagining all this.
I'm not, I tell you. Oh, it's no use, Stephen. We can't go on this way.
What do you mean?
Don't you see? We aren't happy anymore. Instead of things improving, they get worse. Perhaps it would be best if we were to separate.
Helen, I won't hear of it. I love you, darling. I wouldn't want to live without you. Whatever misunderstandings we may have about Sandra, I'm sure we can straighten them out.
I don't know, Stephen.
If you love me, Helen, you won't give up so easily. Please, say you won't leave.
All right, Stephen. I won't leave. Perhaps we will be able to work this out. I hope so.
Sandra? Sandra? You awake, darling?
Yes, Daddy.
Sandra, Mother and I were very upset when you ran away last night. Mother seems to think you ran away because you couldn't get along with her. She felt so badly about it, she wanted to go away.
She did?
Yes. But I told her how much we both loved and needed her. So she's promised to stay.
Oh. I see.
Sandra, you will try to be a good girl and do as Mother wants, won't you? It would make Daddy very happy.
Oh, Daddy, I'd do anything to make you happy, anything.
That's a good girl, darling. Now, you get up and get dressed, huh? I'll wait for you downstairs.
All right, Daddy. He just doesn't understand. He should have let her go, but she's still here. And she's going to stay. I won't have it. I won't have it. I hate her. I hate her.
A week passed. A week in which Sandra's behavior pleased Helen no end. At last it seemed they were going to be the happy family she had always dreamed they would be.
Helen,
Yes, dear?
will you bring my coat with you when you come downstairs? Sandra and I are going for a walk.
All right, Stephen. I'll get it and be right down.
Daddy, can we walk down to the river?
Oh, we won't have enough time for that, Sandra.
Stephen? I have your coat, but I can't find your scarf.
Oh, the scarf's down here, Helen. Just bring the coat.
Oh, all right. Stephen, I hope...
Helen. Helen, are you all right? Helen, speak to me.
Daddy, is she dead?
No, Sandra, don't talk like that. Quick, phone Dr. Smith at once.
I arrived at the Hamilton home to find Helen suffering from shock, but otherwise unhurt. I was somewhat disturbed, however, to find her very nervous and run down.
She'll be all right, won't she, Doctor?
Yes, of course. I'm going to leave you a prescription, Mrs. Hamilton. It's something that will help quiet your nerves. You're to take it twice a day. Here's the prescription, Mr. Hamilton.
Thank you, Doctor. I'll have it filled at once.
Well, Sandra, how are you? You've been so quiet, I hardly knew you were here.
I'm fine, thank you.
You're growing up to be quite a young lady. Are you still troubled by nightmares?
Yes, she still has them once in a while.
No, it's just her nerves. If she continues to have them, you might give her some of the medicine I've prescribed for your wife. Well, I must be leaving. Goodbye, Mrs. Hamilton, and stay in bed a few days.
I will, Doctor. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Doctor. Well, darling, you gave us quite a scare.
Yes, I slipped on something on the top step.
You must have slipped on a marble, dear. I found 7 or 8 of them on the top step.
Marble? Sandra, were they your marbles?
No, Mother. They belong to Margie. She must have left them on the stairs when we were playing here.
Oh, I see.
It wasn't my fault. Truly it wasn't.
Of course it wasn't, Sandra. Mother knows you wouldn't leave marbles lying around where she could slip on them. Isn't that so, Ellen?
Yes, Stephen. I'm sure Sondra wouldn't want anything to happen to me. Sondra, will you come into Mother's room a moment, please?
Yes, Mother.
The medicine that Dr. Smith prescribed for me is in the bathroom. Will you get it for me, please?
All right, Mother.
You'll find it in the medicine chest. It's in a blue bottle.
Yes, I know what it looks like. Oh, here it is.
That's fine, Sondra. Just bring it to me.
Here you are, Mother.
Thank you, dear. Oh, Sondra, this isn't the medicine that Dr. Smith prescribed for me. Didn't you read the label? This bottle has poison in it.
Poison?
Well, yes. It's right here in red letters on the label.
Oh, I'm sorry, but this bottle is blue, too. It looks just like the one with your medicine.
Yes, it does at that. Now, I'll put this bottle of poison back and get me my medicine.
Yes, Mother.
I'll have to get rid of that poison. It's too dangerous to keep in the medicine chest.
Would have been awful if you took the poison, wouldn't it, Mother? Or you might have died. No, go away. I hate you. Oh, I hate you. He's mine. You shan't have him. He's mine. We don't want you. We don't want you.
Wake up. You're having a nightmare.
Oh, Daddy, don't leave me. Don't leave me.
Well, of course I won't, Sandra.
Stephen, she's so frightened.
Yes, these nightmares leave her nervous for hours. Darling, there's nothing to cry about now.
Oh, Daddy, I was so frightened.
Stephen, come here a moment, will you, please?
All right, Ellen.
Oh, Daddy, don't leave me.
No, Sandra. I'm not going to leave you. I'm just going to see what Mother wants. What is it, Ellen?
Stephen, Dr. Smith said that if she had a nightmare, some of the medicine he prescribed for me would help her.
Well, Sandra doesn't like taking medicine.
But this medicine's very easy to take, and it'll have her asleep in no time.
If you think it's best.
Yes, I'm sure it is. Now, you go back to Sondra while I get the medicine and a glass.
All right, Ellen. Now, Sandra, you must stop your crying. Daddy's here.
Don't go away, Daddy. I want you to stay with me.
Of course I'll stay with you. What were you dreaming about, dear?
I don't know. It was all so mixed up. Oh, Daddy, will you always love me more than anybody else in the world?
Of course. Now, stop your crying.
All right, Stephen, I have it. Now, if you just have Sondra sit up.
Come on, darling. Sit up now. That's it.
What's Mother doing?
She's pouring you some medicine. It'll help you sleep, darling.
Medicine?
Yes. It's the same medicine Mother takes for her own nerves.
No, I don't want it.
Now, please, Sondra. It'll make you feel much better.
No, don't come near me. I don't want
But,
it.
Sandra, Mother takes it twice a day. There's nothing to it.
No, I won't take it. I won't.
Perhaps you'd better let it go, Helen.
Nonsense, Stephen. She'll have us up all night if she doesn't take it.
All right.
Now, Sondra, stop being a baby and take this medicine.
No, Daddy, don't let her make me take it. Don't let her.
Sondra, are you going to let me give you this quietly, or do I have to make you take it?
No, it'll kill me. I know it will.
Here, let me hold your head. That's it.
No.
Now, Sondra, stop clenching your teeth. Open your mouth. Do you hear?
Daddy, don't let her.
There, you've taken it. All this fuss over nothing.
Helen, she's choking.
Daddy, it burns.
Sandra, what's wrong?
It's burning me. Daddy, help me. Help me. I can't breathe.
Helen, quick. Call Dr. Smith. Tell him it's an emergency.
Stephen, here's Dr. Smith.
Let me see her.
She's been unconscious for 10 minutes now. Doctor, you must do something.
I'm afraid it's too late, Mr. Hamilton. She's dead.
Oh, no. No, she can't be.
I'm sorry.
How can she be? We only gave her the medicine you prescribed for Helen.
Yes, here it is.
Let me see it. But this medicine wouldn't kill her. It's only a nerve tonic. You can see...
Doctor, what is it?
Why, this is the bottle, all right. But the medicine in it isn't the medicine I prescribed.
But it is. I took some of it last night.
I assure you, this isn't the medicine I prescribed.
Then what is in that bottle?
It smells like carbolic acid.
Carbolic acid?
But that's impossible. Look at the label. You can see it's my medicine.
Yes, the label's right, but someone poured out the medicine I prescribed and replaced it with carbolic acid.
Oh, no.
But why? Why should anyone want to do such a thing? Who could possibly want to kill Sandra? Everyone loved her. Ask Helen. She'll tell you that Sandra...
Stephen, why are you looking at me like that? Surely you don't believe I poisoned her? Stephen, no! No!
This is the mysterious traveler again. Have you enjoyed our little trip? By the way, do you have a child in your home? If so, I do trust it isn't angry with you. You can't be too careful with children. Why, I recall another child who, after being punished by his parents, took a razor and... Oh, you're getting off at the next stop. I'm sorry. Perhaps you'll join me again soon. I take this same train every week at the same time.
You've just heard Chapter 13 of The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and unusual brought to you each week by station WOR. In tonight's program, The Good Die Young, Betty Jane Tyler played Sondra. The Mysterious Traveler, written by Bob Arthur and David Cogan, is directed by Jock McGregor. Original music was played by Doc Whipple. Listen next week to a tale titled
Design for Death.
Another tale of the Mysterious Traveler. The Mysterious Traveler is presented by WOR Mutual every Sunday at 7 over most of these stations. This is Mutual.
The Mysterious Traveler had a 9-year run on Mutual, beginning in December of 1943 and running at various times through September 16th, 1952. Maurice Tarplin played the Mysterious Traveler all the way through the run. All right, from February 27th, 1944, 80 years ago, The Mysterious Traveler. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow, we will have Westerns and crime. A Have Gun Will Travel episode starring John Daner, Gunsmoke starring William Conrad, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe starring Gerald Moore, an episode of Gangbusters, and a Suspense episode from 1960. Was it Lieutenant Langer's Last Collection? That's coming up tomorrow. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. Up next, Suspense, William Bendix, Riley himself, stars in Three Faces at Midnight.
This is Debbie Reynolds. If you've been wondering what you can do to fight communism personally from your own home, there is something you can do. Support Radio Free Europe, the station built and financed by the contributions of the American public to the crusade for freedom. Radio Free Europe is one Cold War operation the communists fear and attack constantly. Support Radio Free Europe. Send your truth dollars to Crusade for Freedom, care of your local postmaster.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues now on this Tuesday with an episode of Suspense. William Bendix played mostly heavy roles until he became the life of Riley. Of course, he did do a very well-known episode, the biography of Babe Ruth, and it was not at all well received. But William Bendix and the Life of Riley pretty much made up for that. But this episode of Suspense, Three Faces at Midnight, was originally broadcast 77 years ago, February 27th, 1947, for Roma Wine.
Yes, Roma wines taste better because only Roma selects from the world's greatest wine reserves for your pleasure. And now, Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, Roma Wines present Suspense.
Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Mr. William Bendix as star of Three Faces at Midnight, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those better-tasting California wines enjoyed by more Americans than any other wine. For friendly entertaining, for delightful dining. Yes, right now, a glassful would be very pleasant as Roma Wines bring you William Bendix in a remarkable tale of suspense.
They say they got 58 million jobs in this country. 58 million jobs, and I had to pick this one. Well, that's the way it goes. Some guys that got some special ability that other guys don't have, they just get picked out of the crowd, I guess, in spite of themselves. Well, this day I'm walking along Central Avenue, not paying much attention to anything in particular. Then I see this sign, Help Wanted, it says, jobs. Then it's got a list of different kinds of jobs, like chauffeur, house painter, salesman. There's nothing so funny about that. But then I see what kind of dough they're paying. And, brother, what kind of dough they're paying. I'm thinking maybe this inflation ain't such a bad idea after all. And I walk in. Well, there's quite a bunch of guys in there, naturally, sitting around on benches. And I sit down, and every so often, a door opens, and a tough-looking little gray-haired guy comes out and picks out a guy, and the guy goes in a sort of an office with him. And that's the last we ever see of him. So this keeps happening for a while, and I'm thinking this guy must really be handing out the jobs. And then the door opens again, and the guy is looking at me.
Okay, you.
Me?
Yes, you. All right, sit down. What's your name?
Walters.
First name? What's the matter? Don't you know it?
Muscles.
What?
Muscles.
Now,
M-U...
look, don't try to clown with me, pal. What's your name?
Listen, for your information, my first name is Sylvester. Only I don't like the name Sylvester, so most people don't call me Sylvester. On account of it's better for them that way. So they call me Muscles. Now you catch on?
Yeah. Live here in town?
No.
Where are you from?
Brooklyn.
I should have known it. What's your IQ?
Come again?
Skip it. Got any friends in town?
No, just...
And I can see why.
Look, Pop, are you talking to me about a job or a poke in the nose?
What? You wouldn't try to get tough with me, would you, you big baboon?
What? Is that gun loaded, Pop?
Yeah. Now you want to make something out of it?
No, I don't. And how do you like that? But if you will put that heater down for a minute, Pop, I will bend you around like a pretzel.
You know, I think you're going to be all right, son.
Yeah?
Hold it now. Hold it. Don't get sore. I was just trying something out on you, that's all.
You take awful chances, Pop.
Guns don't worry you much, do they?
Guns? I spent the last 4 years playing with firearms for Uncle Whiskers. Guns to me are like the measles. I don't worry about them. I just got a healthy respect for them, and I like to keep my distance, that's all. Especially when the other guys got them and I don't.
Yeah, I think you're going to be all right.
For what?
Oh, yeah. What kind of a job did you want?
Well, I don't know. I've been a cabbie, drove a truck. I was a salesman for a while.
For who? Lionel Strongfort?
No, ladies' lingerie, mail order house.
Yeah? Well, you'll make a lot more on this job than you would as any salesman. Now, listen. Say this after me.
What?
This is John. 3 Faces for Midnight.
Come again?
Come on, say it. It's part of the job.
Listen, if this job means I got to play left end for the nut house, it's out.
Don't worry, pal, don't worry. You're going to like this job. Now, come on, say it. This is John. 3 Faces for Midnight.
Huh? What can I lose? This is John. 3 Faces for Midnight.
Again.
This is John. 3 Faces for Midnight.
Yeah. You're going to be all right.
Well, is that good?
Listen to this.
What's that?
A dictograph. It plays records.
Oh, yeah, well, that's more like it. Hey, you got Crosby...
Shh, listen.
Yeah? This is John. Which way is the road?
3 faces for midnight. Well, we're ready. Tomorrow night, regular time. I'll call.
There. Did you get it?
Well, they sound just like a couple of mugs to me, especially that guy John.
I guess nobody ever does.
What?
Recognize their own voice when they hear it. That guy John sounds enough like you to be your twin brother.
Well, I guess a guy can't help what he sounds. You mean I sound like that?
I mean you're hired.
What a price to pay for a job.
Go on through that door to the back and wait for me. I got a couple of things to do, and then we'll get busy.
Well, okay, but this better be on the level. Because so far, it sure stinks. Oh, pardon me. You all alone in here?
I was.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt or anything, only he sent me in here.
Oh, it's quite all right. Make yourself quite at home.
Well, thanks.
Only I hope you won't mind if I return to the pursuit of my magazine.
Hmm? Oh, you were reading. I like to read myself sometimes.
I'm sure.
You're working for this guy here?
I'm afraid that's confidential.
Oh, so he gave you that, too, huh?
Why, yes. Are you working for him?
Well, I don't know if you could call it working.
Well, didn't he tell you anything?
Yeah. All about how I sounded like a guy named John, and what did I think about guns.
Guns?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, what are you supposed to do?
Well, I don't know exactly.
That sounds just as crazy as what I'm supposed to do.
Well, you see, I'm a photographer.
Oh, you take pictures?
Uh-huh. I'm just an amateur, really. But I get some very good pictures. I showed him some. A 16 millimeter.
What's that?
Movies. With this camera here. See?
Oh. Well, if this is some kind of gag for the movies, then it makes sense. They say in that racket everybody's crazy.
Well, I don't know. I figured he wanted me to take some pictures of some kind of an affair. Some wedding or something.
Well, what am I supposed to do? Give the bride away?
Now I wanted to... Oh, you two get acquainted?
Well, we were making a start.
Good. Okay, now look. I got all your instructions written down here. Everything you're supposed to do. You take a train to Woodbridge and walk, not take a cab. Walk to a certain house. There's a map here. You can't miss it.
Well, aren't you coming?
Yeah, sure. I'll be there, but I got to go separately. There's a reason for that. So go on, beat it now. Your train leaves in a half an hour. You can read over your instructions on the way.
Okay, I'm playing along as though this was on the level, but it better be.
It's on the level, all right, but listen.
Yeah?
Don't you do anything that's not in those instructions. See?
Why should we?
I'm just telling you. Because I wouldn't want to see anything happen to you. Either of you.
Well, that should have been the tip-off right there. Especially for a smart guy like me. But if you must know, by this time I'm thinking about this dame, who's a slick chick, but real refined, too. You know what I mean. And I'm thinking that this is probably the big break for her, if it is on the level, so I ought to help her through with it. So I do. And by the time we get out to this Woodbridge, we're getting along pretty good. Except for one thing. We start off from the railroad station, like it says on the map the guy gave us, looking for this certain house. Only it gets wilder and wilder where we're going. Right into the woods. Must be a couple of miles. And then all of a sudden, there's a house. Well, that should have been a tip-off, too.
You don't suppose that's it?
According to this map, it's got to be.
But Sylvester...
Helen.
Yes, Sylvester?
If you call me that once more, I will bend...
What did you say?
I said I will bend every effort for you, but please don't call me that.
Oh, well, I just can't call you muscle. That's not refined. Well, then, this must be the place. But it certainly is a funny place to have any kind of an affair.
Don't look like it's been lived in for 20 years.
Listen.
Yeah, it's going to be a storm.
Well, we better just go on inside. You know, like it says to do.
That door don't sound like it's ever been opened.
Ooh. Gee, it's spooky in here.
Yeah, I can't find a light in it.
Maybe that nice Mr... Oh, Sylvester.
What?
I don't even know his name. Do you?
No, and I wish I didn't know him.
Close the door.
Oh!
Shh. It's all right. It's me. That's the idea. Now we can have some light.
Ah. Well, it's nice on the inside, isn't it? Really refined.
Yeah, it used to be an old hideout. Now, come on to the front room here, and I'll give you the pitch.
Well, don't think we're in any hurry to know, because we are, see?
All right. Now, listen. In about an hour, there's going to be a guy come out here to take a bribe. He's quite a big guy in this town, and he's taken a big bribe. $200,000.
200 grand?
Yeah. He's going to take the money from another guy that he's never seen before. A guy named John. You're going to be John.
Oh. Oh, so I'm going to be John.
That's right. The guy you heard on the record in my office, the guy you sound like. The other guy you heard is the guy that's taken the money.
Yeah? Well, you can count me out. The whole thing sticks.
Sylvester.
Smells. And if I had known that you were getting a young girl...
Now, wait a minute. There are only two people in the world who know about this. Me and...
Yeah, and who are you?
Just call me Tim. Me and Grover T. Wyatt. You know who he is.
No.
You don't mean Governor Wyatt?
Yes.
Why, he's nice. I voted for him. Why, he's one of the best-looking men. For his age, I mean.
Wyatt's a swell guy, clean as a whistle for 20 years. But he made one little mistake back there, and a certain guy has caught onto it. Well, all I can say is that if this thing doesn't come off, if he doesn't hear from me by 3 o'clock this afternoon, well, Governor Wyatt's a dead pigeon.
I don't care if he's a dead horse. 200 grand is plenty of lettuce, and that means plenty of trouble. And what about this John that I'm supposed to be?
He knows it, too. He's been our contact man on the phone with the scripter, and I...
Well, I don't like it. And Helen here.
What are you squawking about? There's nothing going to happen to you, and there's a bonus of $5 apiece in it for both of you.
So, we stick our necks out for a lousy $5.
$500.
That's what I said, a lousy 500... 500?
That's what I said.
Well.
Say, where is this bum that's been giving trouble to the governor? I will bend him around like a pretzel.
We don't need any of that. We're just going to get him good this time, and that's the end of him.
And you want me to take pictures of the, transaction?
Yes, now you're getting smart. Yeah, from that landing up there. That's why we've got so much light in here. Will it be okay?
Oh, it'll be quite all right, I'm sure.
Yeah, but there's just one thing.
What?
So this guy shows up and he thinks I'm John because he's never seen John. But what if John shows up?
Well, now, this John was sort of a double-crosser. He won't show up.
How do you know?
He had a little accident this morning. He's dead.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you William Bendix in Three Faces at Midnight. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Between the acts of Suspense, this is Ken Niles for Roma Wines. Are you enjoying today's biggest value in an entertainment beverage? You are when you serve Roma Wine, because Roma Wine is America's first choice for more pleasure at moderate cost. Yes, Roma's popularity proves that in Roma Wines you enjoy an important difference, an extra goodness in fuller bouquet, richer body, and better taste. And this difference, this better taste of Roma Wines, starts with California's choicest grapes. Then Roma master vintners with America's finest winemaking resources carefully, unhurriedly guide this grape treasure to tempting taste perfection. This wine is placed with mellow Roma wines of years before. And later, from this world's greatest reserves of fine wines, Roma selects for your pleasure. That's why Roma wines are different. Why Roma wines taste better every time. So for your best buy in good taste, insist on Roma wine. R-O-M-A. Roma, the greatest name in wine.
And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage William Bendix as Sylvester Walters, with Sandra Gould as Helen, his partner in adventure, in Three Faces at Midnight, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
So there we are, just sitting and waiting in a house that looks like something Boris Karloff moved out of because it made him nervous. Me and this guy called Tim that's working for this governor called Wyatt, and this slick chick called Helen that's going to take the pictures. Just sitting and waiting for a guy that's going to come and take a bribe of $200,000 from another guy called John. Only I'm going to be John on account of I sound just like him, and this other guy has never seen him, and anyway, this John has just got himself knocked off. You don't get it? Neither do I. But for $500, who am I to have to know everybody's business? And Helen, she's sitting there as cool as though bribes of $200,000 and dead guys named John was just something she run across at the dime store novelty counter. So we go over what I'm supposed to say to this guy a couple of times, and the storm outside getting worse all the time. And then we hear the knock on the door.
That's him. That's him. Now, all the dough's there in the briefcase. You know what to do. Helen, up on that landing, quick.
Okay.
Where are you going to be?
Right in this closet. Now, go to it and make it look good.
Excuse me. Is this Mr. Hampton?
No, this is John.
Oh. I guess I lost my way. Which way is the road?
3 faces for midnight.
Okay. I knew your voice anyway.
Come on in.
You alone?
What do you think?
I'm asking.
$200,000, I got to answer questions too nuts.
Okay. You got it?
Yeah, in this briefcase. 200 G notes.
I don't like that. What's supposed to be smaller?
What's supposed... Well, that's how you're getting it. You want to count it?
What for? It better be right.
Here, look it over. I don't want no kickbacks.
Okay, $200,000.
Yeah, but you'll never get to spend it.
Oh, a plant, huh?
Yes, with pictures. Do you like it?
Well, that's too bad, Tim. Too bad for you, boy.
Look out! What did you do that for? Drop that gun! Drop it!
I got it. Now stand back from the muscles. Stand back.
Tim! No, Tim, no! No, Tim! No!
Thanks. Muscle.
Oh, Sylvester.
Yeah.
Are they...
Dead? Yeah. Both of them.
Oh, Sylvester. What are we going to do?
Well, I got what you might call a rough idea.
What?
Come on. We're going to get this out of here. We have to walk the 2 miles to the station through the pouring rain. But even all that cold water don't seem to make my brains work any better. We don't get back to town till about 4:30, and I still don't have it figured out. And Helen, well, I guess you can't blame her. She just don't seem to have much experience in these things. So we're standing there under an awning, arguing.
But, Sylvester, why don't we just go to the police or somebody and tell them?
Look, Sugar, there's 3 guys been knocked off today. We were there when it happened, the 2 of them. And how do we know that guy Tim told us was on the level?
Well, maybe the police would tell us.
Yeah, with a rubber hose. And here's another thing. We're carrying around a briefcase full of $200,000 of somebody else's dough. And that ain't hay, and it ain't good.
Well, my goodness, what's so bad about it? All we have to do is keep it until somebody...
Helen, look. I'm not really a tough guy, see? All I know is what I see in the movies. But I know that when you're walking around with that much hot money, you're apt to wake up someday and find you've been living on borrowed time. Didn't you see what happened to that guy in that movie, The Killers?
Oh, yeah, wasn't that good? That poor Burt Lancaster. I felt so sorry for him.
Well, I don't want to wind up no Burt Lancaster, even to make you feel sorry for me. So the first thing we got to do is ditch this dough.
Ditch? Really?
I mean before they find those 2 stiffs out there and then start trying to find a funny-looking guy and a cute-looking dame with a sack full of dough, we got to find the parties that belong to it before they find us. Now you catch on?
But we can't give it back to the man it belongs to. He's...
Yeah, and he said there was nobody in on the deal but him and the governor.
The governor?
Why, that's what we'll do, silly. Just call the governor.
Yeah, how do you do that? Just look him up in the classified ads?
I don't know. Ask information. Somebody must know his number. After all, he's a very important man.
Well, it might be worth a try at that.
Of course it is. There's probably a phone booth right here in the drugstore.
Yeah, but calling the governor just like that, I don't know.
Extra, governor, commit suicide, paper bud.
Beat it, I got enough to worry me without the governor. Tell him, the governor, he's dead. Well, of course. Now I remember what that guy said about the governor being a dead pigeon if he didn't get word by 3 o'clock. But it's too late now for that to do anybody much good, us or him either. There was just one more chance, that employment agency. The rain had almost stopped now, and we went over to Central Avenue to look for it.
Of course this is the place. I'd recognize it any time.
Now, where's the sign with the jobs on it?
I don't know. Maybe they take it down when it rains to keep the letters from running.
Maybe. The joint looks closed to me. It is. Hey, anybody in there? Hey, open up! Come on, open up.
What do you want?
We want to see the boss.
I'm in charge here. What do you want?
Well, we were sort of looking for a couple of jobs.
I don't have no jobs. I'm just trying to rent this place. It's vacant.
Vacant? Isn't this an employment agency?
Not since this morning. You want to rent it?
Look, this is kind of important to us. The guy that had it before, he was a sort of a tough-looking little gray-haired guy, huh?
Yeah, that's a guy by the name of Whiting. George Whiting.
Oh, no, his name was Tim.
Look, lady, if you know so much, what are you asking me for?
Well, it's all right. He probably had 2 names. You wouldn't know his home address, would you?
I don't know a thing about the man, fella. If you got to see him so bad, the only thing I could advise you to do is, stick around on the off chance he might come back.
But he can't. He's dead.
He's what? Skip it. Well, we got the wrong guy. That last crack didn't help none because I knew that guy would remember us sure. And now I saw the whole thing. That employment racket was just a phony setup to catch a couple of patsies. Us. I headed us back to the choo-choo station. On the way, I slipped a G-note out of the briefcase. It was time to do something fast.
Leave town? Oh, but I don't want to leave town. It's nice.
Yeah, they got nice, comfortable slabs in the morgue, too. Come on, we're going to check this briefcase.
But what are we going to check it for if we're going to leave town? If it's too heavy, Mr. Walters, I'll carry it.
Look, Sugar, for the last time, I hope. 3 guys are dead. The governor of a state, almost as important as Brooklyn, has just knocked himself off. All on account of what's in this bag. We are ditching this bag, Sugar, and we are lambing. I'll explain what that means later. Check this, will you, Bud?
When do you want it?
Sometime next week. I'm going out of town.
Okay, 2 bits now and 2 bits more for every day you leave it. You pay the rest later.
There you are.
25, 20. Hey, what is this, a gag?
Well, what's the matter now?
$1,000.
Oh, I must have made a mistake.
You sure must have.
Yeah, but I don't seem to have nothing smaller.
Well, I sure ain't gonna change this.
Okay. Give me the bag. Come on, Helen. Hey, wait! Hey, Jerry, stop that guy!
What? Hey, you! Wait a minute.
Now, look, officer, I just...
Come on. The man wants to see you. What's the matter, Sam?
That guy must be nuts. He just walked off and left a $1,000 bill.
Oh, did I say?
A G-note. Let me see it.
Well, it's mine. Ask him.
Where'd you get this, Bud?
Well, why, officer, I just made a little killing at the track.
Which track?
Why, look, I just wanted to check my bag, officer.
What's in that bag?
Nothing, officer. Just some purely personal stuff.
Let me see.
Say, what is...
Give me that bag. Well, what?
What's in it, Jerry?
Why, there's nothing in this bag at all. Nothing at all. Just a little movie camera.
You see, I told you.
And about $1 million. Come on.
Come on, Sylvester. Come clean.
I told you. And please don't call me that.
We ain't started to call you nothing yet, Sylvester. Why'd you kill him?
You killed him for the dough, didn't you?
Where'd you hear about it? How'd you know he had the dough?
This is your gun, isn't it?
No. I told you they knocked off each other. I was just...
Sure, with the same gun. One guy shoots the other one and then hands him the gun, and only the gun's got your prints all over it.
I took it away from the guy.
You were robbing the house, weren't you? They came to make their deal and you knocked them off.
Listen, the governor himself knew... Sure, we'll get the governor to come right down and make a statement.
You trying to be funny, Sylvester?
You were robbing a house. You swiped the camera and you put it in the bag, and then they came in. You saw all that dough and you knocked them off.
Listen, Sylvester. You don't want to get that sweet little girlfriend of yours in a jam, do you?
Helen, what have you done to her?
Nothing. Yet. Come on, come clean and we'll let her go.
But I tell you,
Come on, Sylvester. Or we'll send her to the hot seat with you.
You wouldn't. You couldn't.
No? That's what you think. You killed him, didn't you? You killed him.
Okay, I killed him. Now you happy?
That's a boy. Sylvester. Hey, get this, Harry.
Now, will you stop calling me that?
Okay, Sylvester, you killed him. What was the girl doing there?
She had nothing to do with it. She was just taking the pictures.
What pictures?
The pictures. The pictures! There's your answer, you big dopes. Go look at the pictures. Oh, he's right, Mac. Those pictures show the whole thing. Pete shot Tim O'Mara, and then this guy got the gun away from him, and O'Mara shot Pete, just like he said. Yeah. Now you catch on?
You sure?
No argument, Mac. It's all right there on the film.
Well, you're a lucky boy, Sylvester.
Yeah, sure. I get all the breaks.
Now go on, beat it. Beat it before we think of something else.
Okay, you've had your fun.
Didn't you like it, Sylvester?
But if you'll take off that gun and that badge for a minute, I will bend you around like a pretzel.
You mean right here, Sylvester?
Yeah, right here. After I served my 90 days, I went and got my name changed by a judge from Sylvester to Muscles. It's legal now. Mr. Muscles Walters. It may sound funny to you, but I like it. Oh, yeah. Helen got her name changed, too. She's Mrs. Muscles Walters.
Suspense. Presented by Roma Wines. R-O-M-A. Roma, America's favorite wines. And now this is Ken Niles returning for a curtain call with the rugged star of tonight's suspense play, William Bendix. Bill, are those bulges in your coat really muscles, or did your tailor install them?
Well, they ain't mothballs, chum. You want to see me tear up a phone book?
You're safe. I don't happen to have one on me.
Oh. Well, I will demonstrate with my script. Only 30 pages. Give me yours, too, Ken. Now, I fold them once, then twice, and... then I stack up the pieces, and... Hey?
Oh, that's fine. There went both scripts. Now what do we read from?
Well, gee, Ken, I never thought... But you don't need a script to tell folks how good Roma wines are, do you?
You're right, Bill. And to start with, here's a gift basket of Roma, California wines with compliments from Roma, the greatest name in wine.
Well, that's what I call a magnanimous gesture. And now let me hear you tell about this Roma sherry without a script.
Certainly, Bill. Roma sherry is the perfect first call for dinner, the ideal wine for entertaining any time. Roma sherry is the favorite of millions because golden amber fragrant Roma sherry is so good, so many tasty ways. You'll enjoy Roma sherry before dinner, Bill, and when guests drop in, delight them with the warmth and graciousness, the tempting nut-like taste of Roma sherry.
This guy knows his wine.
Yes, because I know that in all Roma wines you enjoy an important difference. An extra goodness in fuller bouquet, richer body, and better taste. That's why more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine.
He done it. Thanks, Ken, and good night.
William Bendix appears through the courtesy of Procter & Gamble, makers of Dreft, and can soon be seen in the Paramount picture Blaze of Noon. Tonight's suspense play, was written by John Eugene Hasty and Robert Richards. Next Thursday, same time, you will hear Mr. Eddie Bracken as star of Suspense.
Produced and directed by William Spear for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California.
In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as Howard Da Silva, Kirk Douglas, James Stewart, Nancy Kelly, and many others. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
Stay tuned for the thrilling adventures of the FBI in peace and war, following immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Got a little noisy at the end. We apologize for that. 77 years ago, February 27th, 1947, Suspense. I mentioned that William Bendix had done primarily film noir, the dark, heavy types of roles, until he got into a couple of shows. His appearance in The McGarrans from Brooklyn in 1942 led to him becoming Chester A. Riley in The Life of Riley. And during that run on radio, he had played the lead in the Babe Ruth story. He actually had some history with Babe Ruth in the 20s. Bendix was a bat boy for the New York Yankees. He said he saw Babe Ruth at more than 100 runs, but he got fired. He got Babe Ruth a large order of hot dogs and soda before a game. And, that wasn't particularly training. Alrighty, from Suspense, we will go to 1938, 86 years ago, for an episode of The Shadow, starring Orson Welles and Agnes Moorehead.
Your contribution of $10 or $6.95 for the budget relief package will send more relief overseas than the same money spent any other way. To help people in foreign countries with food or clothing, send your check to Non-Profit Care, New York. That's Care, New York. Send your check, your name and address, and full particulars about who's to get the package. Care will do the rest.
Care continues their operations to this day. You can check them out online at care.org. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we're going to go back 86 years to an episode of The Shadow, starring Orson Welles, Agnes Moorehead, and the plot murder.
The Shadow knows.
Again, Blue Coal Dealers present radio's strangest adventurer, The Shadow, mystery man who strikes terror into the very hearts of shopkeepers, lawbreakers, and criminals. Today, Blue Coal brings you The Shadow's latest adventure, The Plot Murder. In just a moment, The Shadow's exciting adventure will begin. Meanwhile, I have something important to tell all you homeowners. During this treacherous winter season, you can protect your family's health by burning blue coal. For blue coal's harmless blue coloring is your guarantee of clean, uniform, healthful heat all winter long. Blue coal saves you money, too, for it burns steadily, completely, down to a fine, powdery ash. So next time you're buying fuel, ask for blue coal by name. It's Pennsylvania's finest anthracite. Order a trial ton from your nearest Blue Coal dealer tomorrow. An important announcement. Just before going on the air with today's adventure of The Shadow, we received a telegram from the American Police Review, presenting The Shadow with a special award. Be sure to hear this official presentation at the close of this program. And now, Blue Coal presents The Shadow in The Plot Murder.
Captain Hines, read the findings of this court-martial.
We find the accused, Lieutenant John Wilson, guilty of treasonable sabotage against the government.
No!
In that he willfully destroyed a secret device known as the flying torpedo, invented by one Georges Achilles and acquired exclusively for use by the government.
Has the prisoner anything to say before sentence is pronounced?
Yes. Yes, but what can he say? He admits he broke the mechanism on the demonstration torpedo.
Quiet, please, Professor Achilles. As the inventor, we understand your concern in this matter. But please don't interrupt. Well, Lieutenant Wilson?
I don't know, sir. I can hear all that's going on, but I went into the...
It's obvious, General Levitt, that Lieutenant Wilson is not mentally accountable.
He was sufficiently accountable to enter the testing shed by virtue of his authority as an Army lieutenant and to tamper with the flying torpedo and render it useless the very day it was to be demonstrated to the government. Read the sentence of the court.
Lieutenant Wilson, this court decides, subject to the approval of the President, that you will be dishonorably discharged from the service of your country and sentenced to imprisonment for the term of...
No! Look out, he's got a revolver! Don't shoot! That's the man, Professor Achilles! He's wounded, Professor Achilles!
Call the doctor. Take Lieutenant Wilson back to his cell.
Lamont Cranston, I tell you, John Wilson can't be guilty. He just can't.
Why not, Margot? After all, traitorous Army officers are not unknown to history.
Yes, but the peculiar way John Wilson talked on the stand makes me think there's something strange about the whole thing. He acted, well, almost like a man in a trance. Lamont, just what is this flying torpedo he's supposed to have tampered with?
That's what its name implies, a sort of aerial torpedo filled with high explosive flying under its own power. And once it's launched into the air, instead of flying a predetermined course, its direction can be guided by radio beams from an observation plane flying high above it.
Oh, I see.
Imagine its tremendous effectiveness in warfare, deadly accuracy in hitting even a fast-moving target like a troop train or a supply ship.
Sounds tremendously important. Who invented it?
This man Achilles, who was to have demonstrated last week at the proving grounds before a large delegation from the capital. Besides being members of the War Department, a great many high officials and other branches of the government were to attend the test.
Well?
Since your friend Wilson gained access to the laboratory and put the flying torpedo out of commission, the test has been postponed until tomorrow.
And who is Achilles? Where did he come from?
He's a famous foreign inventor. He's quite a reputation abroad.
Lamont, you don't suppose it's possible Achilles has the boy under some strong mental influence?
Possible.
They've got Wilson temporarily in the city jail. Won't you call on him as the shadow?
Margot, do you honestly think that this case warrants my attention as the shadow?
Lamont, I don't ask many favors, but I have a feeling John Wilson is innocent.
All right, Margot. If you're really serious. The shadow will pay a call on John Wilson in the city jail.
Lieutenant Wilson is in that last cell, Professor Achilles.
Thank you, guard. This pass that General Levitt gave me. Do you take it or do I keep it?
And you better keep it, sir, in case you want to use it again.
Yes, that's right.
You'll have to talk to Wilson through the bars. No one's allowed in his cell.
Thank you. I have no desire to go in. I already have one arm in a sling due to the young man's temper. There's only one or two questions I want to ask him, then I leave.
Very well. Well, who is it?
You! Achilles! Don't get excited, Lieutenant Wilson. I only came to tell you that you're a much better mechanic than a marksman. Your bullet only injured my arm.
I'm only sorry I didn't
kill me. The only way you can break the spell I have over you, isn't it? To kill me.
Will somebody come?
Look in my eyes.
No.
Look.
No, I won't.
John Wilson, look in my eyes.
No.
Look in my eyes, Wilson. That's right. Now repeat after me. I destroyed the torpedo. I destroyed the torpedo. Say it.
I destroyed the torpedo.
Sabotage against my country.
Sabotage against my country.
I am guilty.
I am guilty.
And that is all you remember.
Are you
You are there?
No, not the guard, Professor. He's waiting at the end of the passage.
You hide somewhere. In the next cell, perhaps?
No, I'm here. In the shadows, Professor Arcanus. Perhaps you've heard of me.
Who are you?
The Shadow.
The Shadow?
Help me. Help me.
I am your friend, John Wilson. Think now. Concentrate. What is it you're trying to remember?
It's that torpedo. Dangerous.
Wilson, keep quiet.
Steady now. Think. Think. You can break through this spell.
I tried to make them understand that. I destroyed the torpedo
I
because...
command you to stop.
John, your friends believe in you. They're trying to help you.
Wilson, what have you committed?
Sabotage against my country. I am guilty. I am guilty.
So, Mr. Shadow, whoever you are, you see...
You have a powerful spell over the boy, Professor. But there is a way to break it.
What way, Shadow?
If you don't know, I have no intention of telling you. Yet. Margot Lane, stand by. Arcalis has put Wilson under some strong mental influence, a sort of hypnotic telepathy. The boy's subconscious is dominated by the thoughts Arcalis plants there. We must weaken Arcalis' hold on Wilson's mind so we can find out if he's guilty or not. Stand ready for another call. Tonight I'm going to pay a surprise visit to Professor Arcalis at his hotel. I have a feeling that if we're not successful in getting Wilson to talk, this country of ours may suffer a terrible disaster.
Barra, lock the door. All right. Did anyone follow you here to the hotel?
No one, Professor Arcalis.
Good. The test will take place tomorrow?
Yes, at 3 o'clock. The War Department is so convinced your invention will render any nation possessing it invincible that the high command of both the Army and Navy are to be there to witness the test.
The President, too?
Yes. The President and the Vice President expect to attend, together with the Secretary of War and the Secretary of the Navy.
So they've fallen into my trap. They'll be blown off the face of the earth just as I planned. I'll have to show you make a final inspection before the torpedo is taken out of the grounds and see that the steering mechanism is set.
I understand. But since I am your chief assistant, they might ask me to go along with them.
No, they won't. I'll fix that. Their bungling army mechanics think they understand the flying torpedo perfectly. So to satisfy their pride, I've let them take complete charge of the demonstration.
Good.
Don't worry, Barra.
And afterwards?
Afterwards, with the guiding brains of the nation wiped out at a single stroke, the country will be thrown into confusion, disorganized. So we'll have nothing to fear.
I see.
There are only two things that bother me slightly, though. Lieutenant Wilson, for one.
Wilson? Did he really discover the secret trick of the steering mechanism?
Yes, he knows what we intend to do and how we intend to do it.
You should have disposed of him at once.
I thought of that. I was afraid it would arouse suspicion. But I'm keeping Wilson under mental hypnotic control until it's too late for him to stop us.
Would it be better if he was dead?
Perhaps. I can still visit him at the prison.
And what is the other thing that bothers you, Professor?
Only a shadow, Barra. But I'm not quite sure of the extent of its power.
A shadow?
Don't worry. I think I can take care of it, too.
Listen. What is it?
I thought I heard footsteps outside in the hall. Go and look.
There's no one here. All is empty.
Must be my nerves. I'll be glad when this is all over.
Our escape is taken care of?
Yes, the freighter will be waiting for us at South Pier. But go now, Carl. And success to you.
Good night, Professor.
Good night, Barra. The shadow. If I can't put my willpower against the shadow, then I deserve to lose. And I've never yet...
Good evening, Professor Arcalis.
So you've come?
Yes, Professor. Why do you hold Lieutenant Wilson in a hypnotic spell, Professor?
I don't know what you're talking about.
We shall see. And now I have something else to tell you.
What?
Wilson knows something about you, Professor. And I'm going to find out what it is.
All right, Shadow. You know a little, but you'll never learn more from Wilson. No one can break the spell, not you, nor all your childish magic.
You forget. Greater magic, Archelaus.
What?
Death.
Death?
Yes, it's on the way, Professor. But I can promise you this. If any blood is shed, it will be yours, not the Shadow's.
The second part of the Shadow's adventure will continue in just a moment. Meanwhile, here's some interesting information. Every day, more and more families throughout this area are saving money on their heating and cooking bills. These families are getting better and more economical heat than ever before with blue coal. Blue coal is anthracite. It is an American product mined by the Glen Alden Coal Company, who are deeply grateful for the purchases of blue coal by families throughout this area. Today, blue coal is the largest selling brand of home fuel in America because it is the only fuel that so satisfactorily combines all of the essentials necessary for perfect heating results. It is superior in quality, cleaner than most fuels, and economical because it burns long and steadily down to a fine powdery ash. Furthermore, there can be no substitution when ordering blue coal because it is the only solid fuel actually trademarked with a blue tint so that you can identify it at a glance. These are a few reasons why in Watertown, New York, blue coal sales this winter show a 29% increase over the same period a year ago. So take a tip from Watertown, New York families. Order blue coal by name. You will find the name of your nearest blue coal dealer listed in the Where to Buy It section of your classified telephone directory under the name Blue Coal.
But I tell you, General Levitt.
Excuse me, Colonel.
Go right ahead, General.
Hello? General Levitt speaking. Oh, yes. Good morning, Captain Hine. That's fine. You have the flying torpedo loaded and ready for the demonstration? Good. I'll expect a report. Sorry I can't be with you. Goodbye. Now, Cranston, to get back to this Lieutenant Wilson, I don't see what I can do.
But there may be some desperate plot at the bottom of this. Wilson acts as if he'd been put under some powerful hypnotic spell. He might know something about this flying torpedo that you ought to know.
For heaven's sake, Cranston, I haven't time to listen to any sort of drivel. I know you're a very agreeable young man, and you mean well, but you're letting your imagination run away with you. Now, if you don't mind, I must get ready to leave for the capital.
Very well. Just do me one favor, General Levitt. Might prove something to you.
Well, what is it?
Suggest to Professor Archelaus that he be present with the other official visitors at the proving ground. The demonstration starts.
Well, of course, Professor Archelaus will be there. Why shouldn't he be?
That's what I'd like to know. Unless I'm very much mistaken, General, Professor Archelaus has made arrangements to be far, far away from the scene of his triumph.
George Cranston, I believe you know something.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, well?
There are two gentlemen here to see you, sir. Professor Archelaus and another man.
Oh, all right. Show them in.
General Levitt will see you, General.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, General Levitt.
That's all right. This is Mr. Cranston, Professor Archelaus, and Mr. Barloff.
How do you do? How do you do? If you don't mind, Mr. Cranston, I'd like to speak to General Levitt alone. Not at all. I'm sure you have weighty matters to discuss. Good day, gentlemen.
Thanks, Cranston. Goodbye. Oh, orderly.
Yes, General Levitt.
Is my luggage ready?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Then take the next train. Yeah, there's one leaving in 20 minutes. Can you make it?
Yes, sir, if I go now, sir.
Go ahead, then. I'll close the office. I'll meet you in the capital tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, what brings you here, Professor? Sit down, Mr. Barloff.
Thank you, sir. Barloff here has just returned from the proving ground, General. He supervised the loading of the torpedo early this morning.
Everything was all right, I hope?
Perfect. Your Army mechanics seem very proud they're going to handle the torpedo by themselves. Of course, we'll be anxious to know how it comes out.
Oh, aren't you going to be at the demonstration, Professor Archelaus?
I'm afraid not, sir. Another engagement, unfortunately, prevents my attending.
Oh, yes, I see. But I can't understand how anything could be more important to you than seeing your own invention demonstrated before the highest officials of our government.
I admit I'm terribly disappointed, General. However, I've left instructions for a telephone message to be sent to me at my hotel the minute the demonstration is over.
Professor, I'm not sure that this test should be made without your being there.
What do you mean?
Suppose I order you to go.
But no, that's impossible.
Why impossible, Mr. Barlow?
You must excuse Barlow, General Levitt. He is a little excited.
Excited? What about? Look here, Professor Arcalis. Why don't you want to go to the proving ground?
Must I repeat my previous statement?
This stalling and hedging is very suspicious. By George, you'll go whether you want to or not.
Don't touch that phone. Barlow, be careful.
You can't give me orders in my own office.
You hit him too hard, Barlow. His head was bleeding.
He struck the desk when he fell.
Yeah, drag him in his closet and lock the door.
He knows something, Professor.
Yes, the fool suspects something, but how?
And we've got to act quickly.
I wonder if Lieutenant Wilson has talked.
But you said he's still under your hypnotic spell.
Perhaps it would be better if Lieutenant Wilson died.
Yes. You're going to murder him?
No, I'll merely suggest that he kill himself. No, Barlow, if you'll tie up the general...
Professor, look at him.
What?
General Levitt is dead.
Well, here's General Levitt's office, Margot.
No one seems to be here, Lamont.
Well, that's odd. The General was here less than an hour ago. General! General Levitt.
Look, here on the corner of the desk.
Blood. Word to Commissioner Weston at once. Tell him something has happened to General Levitt.
Yes, anything else?
Yes, tell him to send a squad of men to South Pier. I overheard Professor Arcalis and Barlow talking about meeting on a freighter there.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the jail. I'm going to make one more desperate attempt to get John Wilson to talk. You've got to find out what this is all about before it's too late.
Do you want me to wait here at the jail, Professor Arcalis?
No, go down to South Pier, Barlow. I want to be alone with Lieutenant Wilson.
Yes.
I'll follow after I've taken care of him.
All right. But first, I'll collect the baggage.
But you remember only this, Lieutenant Wilson. See always my eyes in front of you.
Yes.
You will forever do what I tell you to.
Stop! Leave me alone.
No, never. Look, Wilson. See what I have? A knife. Here. Take it. Now listen to me. You are disgraced. Your family disgraced. You have nothing more to live for. Say it.
I have nothing more to live for. I have nothing more to live for.
Then draw the knife across your wrists. It's easy. Try it.
Stop, John. Don't do it.
Shut him.
He's trying to make me...
Keep away from me, Wilson.
I've got you
Let
by
go of me,
the
Wilson.
arm, Arcalis. Did you feel the knife yourself?
Yes, you cut me, you fool.
Your blood is being shed, Professor. Remember what I told you?
Let me out of here. Let me out.
He's gone, John.
Something's happened to me. I feel that I can talk now.
Then talk. Tell me what you know. Arcalis' spell is weakened.
I can't see you. I don't know who you are, but you've got to help me. I first suspected Arcalis and his crowd when I saw that the steering mechanism of the flying torpedo had an extra attachment.
An extra attachment?
Yes, you see, the flying torpedo is supposed to be steered by radio beams from an accompanying plane. But this extra attachment I'm talking about would render the radio beams ineffective. In other words, the rudder is set so the torpedo will fly in a complete circle and come back and strike the point from which it was sent, like a boomerang.
If it does that in the demonstration today, it will wipe out all the important government officials.
Yes, that's their plan. Just as I made the discovery, Arcalis came into the workshop. I accused him, and he put me under this spell. I tried to talk, but I couldn't.
Never mind that. I'll get in touch with Commissioner Weston, have him go to the proving grounds. He can stop the test flight of this flying torpedo if he gets there soon enough.
The idea of having us wait around here at the South Pier. There don't seem to be anything stirring.
Who are the guys we're supposed to pick up?
Two birds for the name of Professor Arcalis and Barlow.
Foreigners, huh?
Yeah.
What are they going to do, make a getaway?
I don't know. Commissioner Weston just said to make sure we got him, that's all.
If it had been that important, don't you think the commissioner would have come down here himself?
Well, he was coming, but he got a last-minute call to go over the place where they're trying out that new flying torpedo.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. All these inventions...
Now, wait a minute. Somebody coming down the dock. Hey, you. Hey, stop where you are, I'll shoot. What's this all about? Nothing. Where are you going? That is my business.
What's your name? Come on, what's your name?
Are you Barloff? What is it to you? Answer me, are you Barloff? Yes. Well, that's all we wanted to know.
Come on.
Where do you take him? I ain't done nothing. He's got a gun, Sergeant. What?
I'm sorry, Sergeant. I had to do it.
That's okay. This Arcalis will probably be along in a minute. Put this boy behind those boxes. We don't want Arcalis to...
Hey, look out. Here comes another guy down the dock.
All right, quick. Right. Behind this piling here. Come on.
Must be Arcalis.
Yeah, I guess so. Professor Arcalis?
Who are you?
The police. We want to ask you what...
Well, you can't get me to talk. You'll never make me...
Look out, Sergeant. He's got a gun there. Drop that gun,
You can't take me. The police can't touch me.
You asked for it.
Oh, you nailed him, Sergeant. Did he get you?
Oh, I'm okay.
Here comes the parole. Must have heard those shots.
Oh, they didn't have time. Oh, Commissioner Weston?
Yes, Sergeant. So you got our man.
Yep.
Is he dead?
I don't think so, sir.
Well, Arcalis, maybe you'll talk.
I'll never talk.
Commissioner Weston.
Shadow, what are you doing here?
We can't waste time, Commissioner. Did you stop the test of the flying torpedo?
Yes, but...
Good. Commissioner, you've saved the lives of thousands of spectators. To say nothing of some of our highest government officials.
Then it was you.
Yes. Yes, I had a friend of mine call you. And now, Professor Arcalis, let's have the story. You haven't much time.
I know. I'm dying, Shadow.
It was a plot against our national defense, wasn't it?
It was.
Who employed you to do it?
That I won't tell you.
But Lieutenant Wilson is innocent.
Yes. Wilson is innocent.
Commissioner, you're a witness. Lieutenant Wilson is cleared.
Yes, Shadow.
And what about General Levitt?
Barloff killed him.
Where is Barloff?
We got him behind these boxes.
How did you know about General Levitt, Shadow?
We found blood on his desk. But this time the blood is yours, Arcalis.
Yes. Mine.
Well, Shadow, Arcalis is dead.
Yes, Commissioner. And you've been instrumental in averting a national calamity. Arcalis is dead. The innocence of Lieutenant Wilson has been proved. And the integrity of the men who protect our liberty is again vindicated.
And now, here is John Buckley, Blue Coal's heating expert, with helpful heating hints for you.
Thank you, Ken Roberts. Good evening, friends. I've received numerous letters from homeowners asking what they can do to prevent chimney loss, wasted heat that goes up the chimney instead of through the pipes of your heating system. It is really a simple matter to prevent this, and you will save money on your fuel bills, too. The next time you refuel the fire, move the handle of the turn damper, that plate-like damper inside the smoke pipe, 1/16 of an inch toward the closed upright position. Then, if the fire still burns too freely, close the turn damper another 1/16 of an inch. Repeat this operation until you've found the correct adjustment. Once you've found this ideal adjustment of the turn damper, mark the position on the smoke pipe with a piece of chalk or something that can be plainly seen. Then leave the damper set at that mark. Remember, the nearer the turn damper is set to a closed position, the smaller the chimney loss and the greater the volume of useful heat. If you follow the suggestions that I give you every Sunday on this program, they should enable you to heat your home with the utmost efficiency and economy. However, if you're experiencing trouble with your heating plant, call your nearest Blue Coal dealer and ask him to send a John Barclay trained serviceman to your home to inspect your furnace. This service is free to all Blue Coal customers. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barclay. And here's the official telegram advising of the award the American Police Review has made to the Shadow program. Quote, "The American Police Review salutes the producers and sponsors of the Shadow for their contribution to the cause of better law enforcement. 13,000 police executives throughout the United States read the review. So our purpose is to help them find the best tools and methods to combat crime. The editors of the review have turned a critical ear toward the Shadow program for some time and are gratified to note that your presentation of police roles truly reflects the intelligence and character of the high type of police officer now found throughout the land. We therefore take pleasure in presenting to you the American Police Review Certificate of Award for Distinguished Service to the Cause of Better Law Enforcement. Signed, J. Norval Birch, editor of the American Police Review, Chicago, Illinois." And so, on behalf of blue coal dealers and of all those who assist in the weekly programs of The Shadow, we tender our thanks and appreciation to editor J. Norval Birch and the American Police Review for their splendid testimonial. You have just heard a dramatized version of one of the many copyrighted stories which appear in The Shadow magazine. All the characters and all the places named are fictitious. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
As you sow evil, so shall you reap evil. Crime does not pay. The Shadow knows.
Next week, same time, same station, Blue Coal, America's finest anthracite, will again present another thrilling adventure of The Shadow. Be sure to listen, and be sure to burn blue coal, the solid fuel for solid comfort. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
It's interesting that Orson Welles and Agnes Moorehead were only in for one season of The Shadow, and yet they are still inextricably linked with the history of the show. Quite frankly, you have people like Brett Morrison, who was 10 years as the Shadow in two separate runs. Bill Johnstone, who you also heard in the lineup, did the show for 5 seasons. And then you had John Archer, Stephen Courtley, who both were the Shadow for periods of time. By the way, there was a summer season of The Shadow in 1938, and in that summer series, Agnes Moorehead did not play Margot Lane, but the character who was named after did, Margot Stevenson, the Broadway ingenue. So there you go. The Shadow, February 28th, 1938, 86 years ago, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Willis Cooper, the creator of Lights Out, now will be up next with his program he did 48, 49, Quiet Please. Ernest Chappell, who was a straight announcer. And when you listen to this show, he just sounds like an everyday, average, ordinary guy. And he did through all of the episodes of Quiet Please. And we'll have an episode of Quiet Please from 75 years ago, February 27th, 1949. You are listening to the Tuesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Americans, stand up and be counted in the fight against communism. You, as a private citizen, can strike back at communism. Where? In Eastern Europe, where 80 million people still bravely resist communist brainwashing. How? Through Radio Free Europe. RFE's daily broadcasts reach these 80 millions, keeping alive their belief in the free world. Give to Radio Free Europe Fund, Box 1963, Mount Vernon, New York.
I was very close when I gave you the dates that Quiet Please ran. It originated on Mutual on June 28, 1947. It shifted to ABC, and the last show was broadcast June 25th, 1949. 106 shows were aired of Quiet Please. It suffered badly from not having a consistent time slot and never quite able to attract a sponsor. This episode of Quiet Please, 75 years ago, February 27th, 1949, If I Should Wake Before I Die.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. The American Broadcasting Company presents Quiet, Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet, Please for today is called If I Should Wake Before I Die. I am a practical man. I want you to understand that I am practical, utterly practical. That I believe nothing that cannot be proved beyond the shadow of a doubt. I know that men live because the lives of many of them impinge on me, who also live. I believe that they die because I've seen them die. Beyond that, there is nothing of life or death that can be proved to myself.
Neuritis, lumbago, and bursitis. That's because Sural tablets work on a correct scientific principle in the treatment of these ailments.
So, the abiding interest is knowledge, pure knowledge. I've devoted most of my 47 years to its pursuit. The application of the knowledge I gain is a small moment to me. I may say that it's of no moment whatever. The experiment, the deduction and proof of new natural laws is the be-all and the end-all, as I believe the poets put it. And their application is not my province. Don here does not share my opinion. Don's interest is in the applications of the laws that I and others have discovered and proved.
You don't care, Dr. Anderson, whether 1 million men and women die as the result of the application of your discoveries?
It is a matter of no interest whatever to me, Don.
I wonder if you really mean that.
I mean it. Implicitly.
Do you know what the world is doing with your discoveries?
Obviously, I know something of what they're doing. But I assure you, it does not interest me.
It doesn't interest you that 3 men are circling this Earth in a satellite rocket as a result of your research?
I am interested only in the data they may bring back from outer space. Data on which I may base further research.
It doesn't interest you that those data may become the basis for the building of fortresses out there in space, from which the Earth can be bombarded by some of the new weapons that have derived from your studies?
I didn't invent the weapons, Don.
Other men did, using your technical data.
Yeah, that's their concern.
But does it interest you that those 3 men may never come back to Earth? That they may be facing a horrible death out there 700 miles away from this Earth, alone out there in the dark?
I have no time to contemplate their troubles, Don.
You sent them there?
I did not.
They wouldn't be there if it hadn't been for your formulas and your work.
I tell you again, that is their concern, not mine.
Do you know who they are?
Don, I'm very busy. Will you please go back to your office and let me finish my work?
Ernst Macy and Dan Seymour.
Please go away.
And your brother.
My brother?
Your kid brother, Edward.
Will you hand me that slide rule, please?
Will you listen to me?
The other one, please.
Dr. Anderson, I tell you that... I'll answer. Yes. Oh, this is Don, Major. When? You sure? Yes, he's here. No, I don't think so. I'll tell him. Yeah. Thank you. Dr. Anderson.
Well?
That was Major Hilton over at the center. They had another message from the satellite rocket at 14:55. From your brother, Edward. What did you say? From 700 miles out in space. From a rocket that's been circling the Earth for 3 months now, alone out there in the cold void, with such a little hope of ever coming back to warmth and light and friends. From the dark and the cold.
What are you talking about?
Your brother Edward. He's dead. Somewhere out there in space, he's dead. Do you hear me? He sent you a message. He died before he finished it. Tell my brother, he said. Tell my brother, if I should wake before I die, and he died before he finished it. Do you know what that means? Do you hear me? Your brother!
Just hand me that notebook there, will you? No, the one with the brown cover. Thanks. Knowledge is all. The application of the knowledge is unimportant, unless it leads to further knowledge. I have no theories of life or death or of creation. Explanation or the attempt at explanation is futile and unnecessary. There are no secrets of life or death. They're chemical processes peculiar to man. They exist, and that's all. Perhaps someday I or one of my colleagues will discover the principles of this living and dying. But there's a long, long apprenticeship ahead of us before we can turn to that phase of science. And in the meantime, there are problems to be solved, answers to be proved. And it's of no importance what temporary use is made of the results of our researches. The space rocket would have been useful, no doubt, in charting the effects of cosmic radiation. But it's gone. We must dismiss it as an expedient that failed. Knowledge. Knowledge is the goal. All else is unimportant. Never forget that. It's worth any price.
Doesn't it depend just a little, Dr. Anderson, on who pays the price?
What?
The ones who die in the search?
Well, as long as the important ones don't die, the price is reasonable.
Who is to decide which are the unimportant ones?
I am important.
Yes, to yourself.
To the world.
The others are important to the world, too.
Nonsense.
There wouldn't be any world without them, Doctor.
Well, in that sense...
People like your brother.
He was dispensable to science.
To you, personally?
Are you implying that I didn't love my brother?
Am I?
I did.
I wonder.
Now, please don't try to involve me in an emotional experience, Don. I have work to do.
It might do you some good, Dr. Anderson, if you did get involved in an emotional experience. It might wake you up.
I'm awake, thank you.
No, you're not.
Kindly explain what you mean by that.
No. I don't think I will, Doctor. I don't think I will.
Well, I don't know what you mean.
You know what you're doing.
I do.
You know that the application of your research and experiment is producing the most frightful weapons the world has ever seen.
That's not my fault. That's application again.
Well, they wouldn't exist without what you know, what you proved.
In that case, I am only helping my country.
That's what the others say.
What others?
The other scientists in other countries. They're helping their countries, too.
Well, that's their privilege.
You realize that you and the others are distilling destruction for the whole world, don't you?
That's the fault of you young military men who are converting pure research into weapons for war.
I grant that. But you are the ones that gave us that research. It's your dreams, not ours.
I wish you'd stop talking of dreams.
Well, I wish...
You wish what?
I remember what your brother sent to you from way out there in space. Dying in a rocket ship. A spaceship that grew out of your dreams.
Yeah, I've forgotten it.
Why, Dr. Anderson, you must remember it.
No.
It's like that little prayer that kids say at bedtime. Only your brother changed it around a little. He knew what he was talking about. Do you remember it?
Something sentimental. I remember I used to say it when we were children at night. Finally. Now I lay me down to sleep. If I should die before I wake?
That isn't what your brother said. Dying out there in the cold and the dark.
I don't.
I'd try to remember it if I were you, Doctor. Your brother said, if I should wake before I die.
It doesn't make sense.
Oh, yes, it does, Doctor. He was telling you to wake up before you die. Wake up, Doctor, before you die and the world dies with you.
There is nothing I can do. I have committed myself to this, and I've gone too far. The others, Barshoff and Beveridge and Delaplane, they have gone too far, too. We cannot stop. It's no dream at all. It is pure science. What if they have perverted our dreams? Not dreams. What if they have perverted our studies, our equations, our living thoughts to weapons of destruction? It was not our fault. I was not my brother's keeper.
But he died far, far out there in the illimitable reaches of immeasurable cold, out where the cosmic dust lies in great cold clouds. And there is no time.
The alchemists tried for thousands of years to transmute base metals into precious ones. I only carried out their fumbling task.
But you succeeded, you and the others.
I didn't pollute the waters of Bikini.
No. You sat in a snug office 8,000 miles away. And the reports of the awful upheaval of the sea came to you. And you read them and smiled. You leaned back in your chair and smiled. They've proved what we knew could be proved, you said. And you smiled.
It was not my fault.
You dreamed that destruction leaped from the floor of the sea and the waters were charged with death, and you smiled in your dream.
It was no dream.
And your brother and 2 other men shook hands with you and stepped into the rocket shell that was to be their tomb, and that tomb was the reality of your dream.
No.
And you dream now of more wonders upon the earth, upon this earth that one day you will destroy, you with your own hands.
No, I say...
Your dream grows brighter and brighter until the whole universe is blotted out, and you stretch out your hands for reality. And there's only black.
Attention, please. Attention, please. In 30 seconds, Project Phaeton will be activated. In 30 seconds, Project Phaeton will be activated. 30 seconds.
Wait. I tell you that... No, not now. Come over here to the window.
No,
You must.
28
Bring your...
seconds.
No, take those binoculars from the desk.
Seconds.
Quick, come on.
Is this the end, then?
This is Project Phaeton.
25
What is it? Over here, where you can see the moon.
24 seconds.
Hurry.
23 seconds.
What is it?
22 seconds.
We're going to
21
reach the moon.
seconds.
What?
20
Here.
seconds.
Watch the radar.
19 seconds.
No, the binoculars won't do you any good.
18 seconds.
Here.
17
Watch.
seconds.
This is the project I heard about them.
Where did you hear about it?
There's been talk.
14
Yeah, I'll have
seconds.
somebody's head for that.
13
Watch.
seconds. 12
Watch.
Is it just another radar contact?
11
We're going to
seconds.
reach it. We've kept it a secret for so
10
long.
seconds.
Only 10 seconds.
9
What are you going to do?
The beam is on.
8
What are you going to do?
Going to reach the moon with a projectile. Atomic fission projectile.
6 seconds.
Watch.
5 seconds.
Watch.
Oh,
4
Dr. Anderson.
seconds.
No.
3 seconds. 2 seconds.
If we do this...
1 second. Time.
I didn't hear it.
Wait. They're on the way. It took a little time for the sound to reach us. Now watch. Watch.
240,000 miles.
Watch. Watch the radar.
What will happen?
An explosion we can see with the radar, I hope. It's nearly there now. A second or two.
Dream goes on.
Look. on, look.
I pray the Lord my soul to take.
One does not always accurately foresee the results of a projected experiment. Yeah, that, however, is the purpose of experiments, to prove or disprove a theory, a scientific conception. If it were possible to conduct all one's experiments personally, the margin of error would naturally be reduced to the minimum. But when a large number of other individuals enter into the operation, error and the possibility of error is naturally multiplied. Now, that's an interesting thought. I must make a note of it. In what ratio does probable error increase with the addition of new minds to a particular project? I must deduce a formula. At the moment, I do not know exactly what went wrong. It's within the realm of possibility that I might have made a slight miscalculation myself, although naturally I doubt that. It's possible that fissionable material reacts with greater celerity where atmosphere, as we know it, is lacking. It is possible that there were on the moon certain elements unknown to us, elements that do not show up in spectrometric analyses, elements particularly amenable to chain reaction of unprecedented violence. It's mildly shocking to realize the extent of the damage done by Project Phaeton. However, I'm reminded of the theory of the philosopher Berkeley that one must doubt everything outside the circle of one's own consciousness. And certainly I have the evidence of my own consciousness. The image of the moon instantaneously disappeared on the radar screen at the precise second when my calculations showed that the projectile had reached the moon's surface. And although this is the time of the full moon, for 3 nights now in succession, it has not appeared in its customary place in the firmament. Therefore, I am led to an ineluctable conclusion, which is corroborated by other hearsay evidence. It is a fact, and I state it positively, that the moon has been utterly destroyed as a result of Project Phaeton.
Never again the sweet moonlight of the lovers. Nevermore the harvest moon rising above the hills on an October night.
But science is vindicated. Science has done it. Pure science went into the calculations, the great thinking machines ground and chattered, and the data poured out. The data that I alone knew would come. Equations no human mind could imagine. Beautiful, pure, mathematical thoughts far beyond the conception.
Far beyond the conception of the ones who die.
Calculations of mass and energy and the cosmic movements of all the planets. Allowances for the gravitation of stars 40 light years away. Corrections for the rotation of the Earth. The absolute cold of 240,000 miles of space. Pinpointed on the great crater of Copernicus.
That man has gazed on and pondered since the world began, and that no man shall ever see again.
The hand of man has reached out into space and found a target. Pure thought that sought out the farthest reaches of the mind that devised the weapon.
And in every harbor of the world, the tides rushed out, and the very floor of the sea was plain to human eyes for one last look. And far out on the breast of the ocean, great tidal waves that overtook and destroyed everything that floated.
Man has at last conquered space.
And thousands dead for miles inland from the shore when the waters returned. And the moon...
I did not know we would destroy the moon, I tell you. I thought there would be a small explosion that we could see.
And man has destroyed what God hath wrought. You've dreamed well, my doctor, my scientist, my brother.
It was an experiment.
And well done. Well completed.
For lives are the price of progress.
So they are.
There will be no more wars, Don. Don't you understand that? We have proved that modern war is so destructive that no nation can afford to fight them. That's no dream.
Yes, you have proved that. You have destroyed one world. A very pretty demonstration.
It was no world. It was the moon, the dead moon.
Dead, yes. Gone, yes. But perhaps it was a world, Dr. Anderson.
Nonsense.
vegetation on the moon. You knew that. Radar proved it long ago. Way back in 1948.
Well...
Why could there not have been people?
It couldn't be proved.
It will never be proved now. There's only dust. And our own world. Can you think of what has happened on our own world and look any man in the eye?
I didn't intend that.
But you accomplished it.
I know it, but...
You have other experiments in mind, I assume?
Well, not immediately, of course.
Of course.
And not for years.
Of course not.
We have to go on.
Do you? You know the end of it all.
We can't stop now. We started this thing, and there's no turning back.
The point of no return.
Exactly. We have accomplished a thing that human minds could never imagine. You have dreamed, and you go on dreaming of destruction. No. We'll take care next time.
You will.
Of course we will. This is an unfortunate accident.
An accident? 10 million people killed on this continent alone. Cities destroyed that can never be rebuilt. The very moon, the ageless satellite of the Earth, blown to dust. Haven't you dreamed enough?
It is not a dream.
You will not wake before you die, before we die?
What can I do?
You can stop it.
Don, it can't be stopped.
It must be stopped. Man wasn't put on Earth to die by his own hand, to be murdered by his fellow men.
But what can I do?
Stop!
We can't stop. We've started a chain reaction among peoples. You know what chain reactions are. You know what follows. You know that a simple fuse lit by a tiny match can set off an explosion.
That will destroy the world.
There is nothing to be done.
Nothing?
Barshoff and Beveridge and Delaplane and I say it in all humility. We know all there is to know about these cosmic forces. We know more than any other four men in the world.
Do you four know how to stop this progress?
I know. I think they know.
But you won't stop?
How?
Well, if you four could agree to put aside all this...
We can't. There is no hope.
We must go on to destruction?
We must go on.
How do you know you must go on?
I know.
How do you know?
I have been told.
By the others?
Yes.
They'll go on if you give up?
They will. I know.
What if they died?
They are the directing brains of all the research in their countries.
And?
If they died, their programs will be set back so far... They won't die.
They have died.
What did you say?
I said they have died.
It's impossible.
They did.
How do you know they died? When?
They died on a ship in the Atlantic Ocean.
When?
When everybody else died on the Atlantic Ocean.
In the tidal wave?
Yes. You disposed of them very neatly.
I didn't...
You killed them just as you killed all those others.
They're dead.
My business to know about that, Dr. Anderson.
Barshoff. And Beveridge. And Delaplane.
You have no rivals now, Dr. Anderson.
Why, that's right. We're in front of the world.
What's left of it?
There's nobody to carry on their work.
Are you sure?
Why, I know. But now...
Yes, now.
What were they coming here for?
I didn't say they were coming here.
They were, though. I know they were. But what... Why were they coming here?
Don't you know, Dr. Anderson?
To kill me. To murder me. Why, of course, they knew me. They heard about Project Theater. They knew if they murdered me, that would stop all our developments here. And they would ally themselves against us, and without the weapons that I could devise, they would... Why, they'd win the war.
What war, Dr. Anderson?
What? What war? Why, they'd declare war on us. No, they wouldn't declare war on us. They'd just destroy us overnight.
No.
What?
No. They weren't coming here to kill you.
I know they were.
No.
What then?
They were coming here to make a deal with you.
A deal?
Yes. They were afraid.
Of what?
Of the thing that killed them.
A tidal wave. But that...
They didn't know what it was to be, but they... Well, maybe they were afraid of it. Maybe they were afraid of what you'd do next.
Well, they'd better be afraid.
Oh, they're not anymore. They're dead.
Oh, yes, that's right. Well...
Remember what your brother said?
Yes, I remember. But what?
Why, they awoke before they died, Dr. Anderson.
It didn't do them any good.
No, it didn't, did it?
No, it certainly didn't.
Because you didn't awake. Now you're the only one left. You know all the secrets. You know more than any other man in the whole world.
I do. Don't I?
It's in your power now to go ahead and do things that the others can't duplicate. That they can't even come near.
It's my patriotic duty.
Is it?
I've got to. Why, Don, if I could tell you some of the things I've already planned, some of the most amazing things, why, I tell you, your mind couldn't even begin to comprehend what I can do.
And not worry about competition.
That's right.
But there may not be any place left for you to do these wonderful things, Doctor.
Why not?
Why, there might not be any world left, don't you see?
But I can't just sit here.
No, of course not.
I can't stagnate.
I agree.
Well, I've spent my whole life studying, learning, thinking and studying again. I've gone farther into nuclear fission than any other man in history. I know more than even they knew. Do you mean that I should give this all up and just sit here?
Not at all, Doctor.
Listen to me. I'll show you. There's one little thing. One simple little operation. Why, it's as simple as turning a switch the wrong way.
Yes?
It would neutralize every single atom of fissionable material in the world today.
Really?
I mean it. It would neutralize every stockpile in the world, and it would be 100 years before anybody could repair even one little bomb. Do you realize that?
There's only one catch in it.
What?
You. If you were still around, you and only you in all the world could, well, shall I say, unneutralize it.
That's right.
Yes.
And you want me to give it all up?
Yes.
I can't do it, Don. I've explained that to you. There's nobody left to carry on but me.
Nobody but you. That's right. Dr. Anderson, do you want to die?
What?
I say, do you want to die?
Die? Why, I've never particularly thought about dying, Don. Do you know that?
Not personally, you mean?
Yeah, that's right. It's curious.
But you don't mind bringing death to a great many other people, do you? Do you? To our brother Edward.
I didn't.
I'm your brother, too, Sam. I'll die, too, and everybody else will die, and you'll die by your hand if you don't give it up.
I'll die. Why... But I can't do it, I tell you.
You're still dreaming, Sam.
I tell you, I'm not dreaming.
It isn't too late to wake up, Sam.
I'm not dreaming.
Yes, you are, Sam, and it's time to wake up.
I tell you...
The title of today's Quiet Please story is If I Should Wake Before I Die. Written and directed by Willis Cooper. The man who spoke to you was Ernest Chappell.
And my brother Don was played by Don Briggs. As usual, music for Quiet Please is played by Albert Berman. Now, for a word about next week, if he can get through the door, here is our writer-producer, Willis Cooper.
Thank you for listening to Quiet Please. Next week, I have a story for you about the man who knew everything.
And so, until next week at the same time, I am quietly yours, Ernest Chappell.
is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
There are very few episodes of Quiet Please that were preserved. The transcription discs that are out there are in very poor condition, and we've restored them as best we can. Quiet Please, Ernest Chappell, 75 years ago, February 27th, 1949. What a spooky, spooky story. Up next on this edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we'll move to something even spookier, Lum and Abner.
Ladies and gentlemen, make tomorrow your D-Day. Get an extra bond for defense. Step into any bank or post office and buy yourself a profitable share in America's future. As an investment, bonds are better than ever. They can help you save safely, conveniently, and profitably. So whether you already buy on the payroll savings plan where you work or the bond-a-month plan where you bank, get an extra bond for defense tomorrow.
Now, tomorrow on this show, we will have Westerns with Have Gun Will Travel starring John Dehner, Gunsmoke starring William Conrad, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe starring Gerald Moore, an episode of Gangbusters, and a 1960 episode of Suspense, Lieutenant Langer's Last Collection. That'll be coming up on our next program on, is it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. Right now, Lum and Abner from February 27th, 1942, 82 years ago today, right at the beginning of America's involvement in World War II.
The makers of Alka-Seltzer bring you Lum and Abner. Folks, I wonder how many of you listeners are planning on going out this evening to a movie and refreshments afterwards, dance, or party with friends. If not tonight, you may be going out tomorrow night or some night soon. Well, here's hoping you have a mighty good time. But now, just in case you should have too good a time, if you stay out late and eat or drink unwisely, we hope that you have some Alka-Seltzer handy, because it offers such quick relief for those common after-the-party ailments. Take Alka-Seltzer for headaches, take Alka-Seltzer for occasional acid indigestion, for upset stomach and morning after misery, and you'll feel better fast. Now, some folks take Alka-Seltzer before going to bed because they found that it actually helps them avoid much of the distress of the morning after, while others take it the next morning. But whether you take it the night before or the morning after, or both times, be sure to take genuine Alka-Seltzer. Get it at any drugstore, either by the package or by the glass at the soda fountain. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, Lum is a little worried over the fact that Diogenes Smith found out he had ruined the package of pamphlets he was supposed to deliver to the man at the county seat. However, his worries are somewhat overshadowed by his new activities as air raid warden. He appointed Mousy Gray as one of his watchers and put him on duty all last night. As we look in on the little community today, we find Lum in the Jot 'em Down store and library. Abner has just returned after making the deliveries. Listen.
Hey, doggies, Lum, I'm plumb wore out. I ain't used to making them delivers no more, you know it?
Oh, you back already, Abner?
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't have Mousy for one of your night airplane watchers. I don't want to have to do his work in the daytime.
Well, this is for a good cause, Abner. Besides, he won't be on duty every night. Just a couple of nights a week's all. He ought to be getting down here pretty soon to make his report.
Well, I hope he gets down for the afternoon deliver. What you filing on there, Lum?
Oh, nothing.
It looks like a badge. What kind of badge is it?
Oh, it's just my air raid warden's badge. I'm supposed to wear this on my uniform.
Oh,
By the way, how does my cap look now?
Your cap?
Yeah, see, I printed air raid warden on a piece of cardboard and glued it over where it said porter.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't noticed that. That looks good. What are you filing the badge for, Lum? Is it too big?
Yeah, that's it. Too big.
Well, hold it up once and let me see how big it is.
Abner, I wished you'd stop being so nosy.
Why, that says game warden on there. I thought you said that was an air raid warden's badge.
Well, government must have made a mistake and sent me the wrong kind.
Well?
So now I got to file that word game off and study up some way to get air raid on there. Of course, I could send it back to the government, but I don't want to put them to no extra bother.
No, the government never sent you that. You bought that when you went into the county seat yesterday, now didn't you?
Abner, I ain't allowed to reveal military information that way. I don't ask no more questions, or I'll report you to somebody. To me, I think.
All right. How'd you get along with the county seat this time, Lum? Did you get the pamphlets delivered to the feller all right?
Oh, yeah. Of course, he looked right away to see if the package was dry. He give me an awful suspicious look.
He did, huh? Reckon how Diogenes found out about that other package getting all wet.
Grannies, I don't know. He must have some kind of a super unnatural powers. He knows mighty nigh everything that goes on around here.
Oh, yeah. Feller can't be too careful around that Diogenes, I'll tell you that.
He must have deputies all over, watching everything we do.
It more likely.
Grannies, I almost wish we hadn't started that contest for the most honest and kind and generous person in Pine Ridge.
Me too.
Of course, $10,000.
Wait a minute. There comes Mousy. Doggies now won't have to make the afternoon delivers.
Well, you better put up the orders for him, though, Abner, because he's got to make his report to me.
Well, that won't take long.
Well, it might. I told him to write out a full report of everything he's seen during the night. Now, Grannies, I'm going to do this job right.
Well, can I listen to the report?
Of course not. This is confidential stuff.
Oh.
You get to work and don't listen.
Yeah, all right.
Well, howdy, Mousy. Wonderful world.
Wonderful world, Lum. Yeah, wonderful world, Mousy.
You get to work, Abner.
I'm going.
Well, Mousy, did you catch up on your sleep all right?
Well, I didn't get very much sleep, Lum. See, I've been working awful hard on my report.
Well, that's good. That's the kind of watchers I need.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read what all you've written down there.
Well, I looked at my watch all the time and just put down everything that happened when it happened.
Well,
Lum.
good for you.
Starts out here, let's see, I got it right here. 12 o'clock midnight. All is dark.
Wait a minute, better start that out by saying official watcher number 6Q29 reporting.
6Q29?
Yeah, that's going to be your number from now on.
Yes, sir, I'll put that down here right now. Official watcher number 6Q29 reporting. 12 o'clock midnight. All is dark and foreboding. Sky is heavy with clouds. No stars are visible. Among stars not visible are Big Dipper, Little Dipper, North Star.
I don't care about how many stars you can't see. Get on to the important stuff, Mousy.
Yes, sir. 12:15. Still dark and gloomy. A hoot owl hoots. It is a very mournful sound. Hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo.
I know what an owl sounds like, Mousy. Skip over that part.
Yes, sir. 12:20. Once again, the hoot owl hoots. 12:25. Hoot owl hoots again. 12:27. Hoot owl...
Is that all you got in that report, is hoot owls hooting?
No, sir, this next one is different, Lum. 12:31. I make a friendly gesture and hoot back at the owl.
For goodness sakes.
12:36. The owl hoots twice and I respond. 12:39. I hoot 3 times and the owl responds. 12:41.
For the land's sakes, Mousy, I don't care nothing about any of that stuff. You're supposed to watch for airplanes and any suspicious things you happen to see.
Yes, sir. Well, I wanted to put the owl in my report, Lum, because he was so friendly all night, and he just seemed like a mother to me.
Yeah, I know. Everything seems like a mother to you.
Yes.
But how about airplanes? Did you see any of them flying over?
Well, only the mail plane, but I never put that down because Diogenes was on duty then.
Diogenes?
Yes, sir.
Did he come out of his printing shop and take over for you?
Yes, sir. He came out about 2 o'clock, just about the time the car drove by.
The car? Whose car?
Well, I don't know, Lum. It It was so dark last night I couldn't tell. All I know was that Diogenes waved his lantern at the car. He said he always waved his lantern at strangers in the night because it was a beacon of friendship, he said.
Yeah, it sounds like him, all right. All us doing something for others.
Yes, sir.
Did the car stop?
No, sir. Not then.
What do you mean, not then?
Well, after it had gone past, why, Diogenes said that I should go home and get some hot coffee and warm myself up while he stood guard for me.
That's awful thoughty of him.
So I went home, but I didn't want to wake Gussie up by making a lot of noise in the kitchen, and I just turned around and walked back. And that's when I saw the car again, or at least I figured it was the same car.
Well, had it stopped somewheres then?
Yes, sir, right here in front of the Jot 'em Down store. And Diogenes was talking to the driver.
Oh, more than likely telling him about the lantern of friendship and all.
Yes,
Could you
sir.
see who the driver was?
No, sir, it was too dark, Lum, and, well, the car was heading the other way, so all I could see was just the fellow's back. And once when Diogenes held up his lantern, why, I saw him hand the driver a big package of those pamphlets.
Pamphlets?
Yes, sir.
Granny's, I wonder if he's got another circulating manager. More than likely somebody trying to get my job. What else did you see?
Well, I'm not sure, Lum, but it looked like the driver got out his billfold and handed Diogenes a lot of money.
Money?
Yes, sir.
For goodness sakes. Well, that feller, whoever he is, must be awful anxious to get my job away from me if he's willing to pay for it.
Yes, sir.
Granny's, I gotta find out more about this. Did Diogenes know you was watching him?
No, sir, I don't think so. I stood back in the shadow of the store and waited till after the car had driven away.
Well, did you ask Diogenes anything about it after you joined him later?
Well, I didn't get a chance, Lum. He said he had to go back to the feed room and start the presses rolling again to turn out the golden words of honesty, I believe he called them, and then he left right away.
About what time was that?
Well, let's see, I've got it right here. That was 2:29 a.m. And then at 2:31 a.m., the owl hooted twice, and I responded. At 2:37...
Mousy, forget that hoot owl stuff. This other might be serious.
Yes, sir.
Wish you'd have got a look at the feller driving the car. Was he big or little or what?
Well, I don't know, Lum. It was awful dark. All I was able to get was just the license number on the car.
The license?
Yes, sir.
Well, good. That's the best thing you could have got, Mousy. Good for you. What was the number?
Well, let's see. I wrote it down here. It was an Arkansas number. Here it is. X96ZOO.
Arkansas, huh?
Hi, Doggy, that number could belong to somebody right here in Pine Ridge, Lum.
Abner, you ain't supposed to be listening to this report.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Reckon whose license number that is?
I don't know.
Well, now, if that number don't belong to somebody in town here, it at least has to be right here in this county.
Granny's, Abner, there's something curious going on around here, and I wished I knowed what it was.
Huh?
If I didn't know Diogenes was such a right-living feller, I might suspicion him of something. I don't know what, though.
Well, it does look sort of funny, don't it?
Yeah. I can understand how some snake in the weeds would try to pay Diogenes to get the circulating manager job, because that sort of gives you the inside track on winning the $10,000 prize.
Sure.
But what I can't understand is why Diogenes would take the money. He's rich. He don't need it.
Why, no. Facts is, I even recollect him saying that he never liked money. Wait a minute, there comes Cedric.
Huh?
Hi, Doggies, he's just a feller you want to see, too, Lum.
What do you mean I want to see him?
Why, that Cedric knows every license number of every car in town by heart. He sits down there at that gasoline station for hours at a time memorizing them.
Yeah, that's right, ain't it?
Why, sure. Hi, Doggies, maybe we'll find out something. Well, howdy, Cedric. Come on in.
Wonderful world.
Yeah, wonderful world, Cedric. Say, Cedric, whose license number is, what's that number, Lum?
Mousie's got it wrote down there. What is it, Mousie?
It's, X96ZOO.
Oh, that's easy. That's mine.
Say, folks, here's an announcement from the makers of Alka-Seltzer about a new one-a-day vitamin tablet. It's the one-a-day vitamin B complex tablet. That's the same brand name as the famous one-a-day vitamin A and D tablets so many of you are taking every day, but this new tablet contains an entirely different group of vitamins, the vitamins of the B complex. Now, the daily need of an adequate amount of these vitamins is not just theoretical or unimportant, for the body cannot get along and maintain its normal activity without B-complex vitamins. Their absence from your daily diet can cause such disturbances as loss of appetite, subnormal growth in children, nervous irritability, digestive disturbances, and certain skin troubles. Now, these symptoms, of course, do not necessarily indicate vitamin B deficiency, as there are many other possible causes for any of them. But that they can be caused by a B deficiency shows how important it is to you and to the other members of your family to get an adequate supply of these vitamins every day. Well, here's a way you can be sure of getting your minimum requirements of both vitamins A and D and the essential vitamins of the B complex. Just ask your druggist for both 1-a-day vitamin A and D tablets in the yellow box and 1-a-day B complex tablets in the gray box. 1-a-day brand vitamins make it both easy and economical for you because, and listen, just one of each, once a day, is all you take. Look for the big 1 on each package.
Well, something weird is going on if that was Cedric's license plate. February 27th, 1942, 82 years ago, Lum and Abner here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, and we'll get back to Pine Ridge in a couple of days. But tomorrow, Westerns with Have Gun Will Travel, Gunsmoke, and then the adventures of Philip Marlowe and Gangbusters, and Suspense. That'll be coming up on our Wednesday program. Thank you so much for listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We will be back tomorrow, and visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, to support the program. Have yourself a great day, won't you please?